Three, two, one. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody in between. Welcome to the first ever Draco Cup VGC edition. This is an event created by the community of my good friend Joey Pokeaim MD, and I am so excited and happy to be part of this. PK and the rest of the organizers reached out when they were planning this, and they were like, hey, do you want to do live coverage for this event? And I told them very enthusiastically that I would be more than happy to. We've got a lot of great matches planned. We've got live coverage. We've got replays to go through. We've got a whole stuff. This is just week 1, 2. There are several more weeks to go. And of course, I'm not doing this alone. I've got a wonderful co-commentator in the form of Talon Master J. He can say hi.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? We are excited to start this Draco Cup, and there's some really impressive matches that we're going to be seeing today, right, Highland?
I am very much looking forward to this. We even have usage stats as well already, which I was not expecting to have this soon, and we will absolutely, if we have time to go over that, do it. But we do have one match ready to go right out the gate, so I'm not even going to stall for time or anything. I'm just going to wait for them to give me the room code, and we can just hop right into it. I do also need to, just in case you do not have your Switch pulled up, I'm going to screen share my capture card here. There we go. And then I'm going to...
Now, I will ask this ahead of time, Highland, just because I know this has been a thing with the Switch when it comes to spectator mode. There is a setting in your Switch, like if you go about like 5 minutes without touching your controller, it will give that little like dimmed black screen. There is a setting. Do you have that turned on?
I do have that turned on. Thank you for the heads up. Hang on. I can figure out how to turn that off. Let's see. Display.
Screen burn-in reduction.
There we go. There we go.
Yes. See, I knew that was a potential, so...
No, thank you for letting me know about that. This is very helpful. I already had to launch the game in handheld mode in dock because they still have not fixed this stupid graphical bug that has been in the game since launch. What are you doing, Oka? For those unaware, there is a... So I'm running this off of a Switch 2 on my side. There is a bug that Champions has had since launch that they still have not even acknowledged, and it only affects the Switch 2. And that is, for some reason, when you launch this game on the Switch 2, it launches at a lower resolution, but only if you launch it when it's docked. If the only way to work around this issue is you have to launch the game in handheld mode and then dock your Switch. I don't know why it's doing this. It only happens on the Switch 2. And they still haven't even acknowledged this issue.
Well, that's definitely interesting. But on the plus side, at least we don't have to worry about the parting shot glitch in this matchup.
Oh, God. Parting shot glitches. Oh, so many. So our first match... now would actually be a good time to get the spreadsheet up that was sent to me. Let me pull open the Google Sheets, because our first match is going to be Dealt Tight against Noobish. Both fantastic members of the community. We're gonna see who brings what here, because I am very much... Oh, there we go. I've got my code. That is the wrong menu button.
We should have gotten a free recruit before we got.
I could do that during free time. I always love making fun of those. All right, private battle, room ID. Here we go.
Now, getting back to our two trainers, Highland, I will say I honestly don't know much about Noobish trainer Joe per se, but I do know a little bit about Diet Tight. Diet Tight is one of the best singles players in the community right now. And just recently, he won one of the most competitive Scarlet and Violet draft leagues of all time in the Shuckle Premier League.
Interesting. Conversely, I do not know much about Dial Type, but I do know that Noobish, this man is very good at singles. I've seen him play a multitude of formats. He has done very well in local community-run leagues, such as the Bald Joey Draft Leagues. Shout out to Brody. I don't know how well he does in VGC. We'll see. But it is very much Noobish is somebody who pulls out very unpredictable strats. And they work. So I am curious to see what he has brought here.
It looks like that is definitely unique right there. The Blastoise, Maushold, Sinistcha, Politoed, Clefable, and Incineroar. You honestly don't see much Clefable usage.
I am very interested about this Clefable. It looks like Jason's running a Mega Floette, possibly Mega Delphox 4, where you can pick one or the other. I'm very interested to see what happens here. Jason's team is looking a lot more standard compared to Noobish's. You don't see a lot of Maushold, at least not in current meta. So I am very curious to see where this is going.
Honestly, Maushold had a couple of appearances in Regulation MA. MB hasn't been all that favorable to the mouse, per se. But I will say, on Jason's side of the matchup, this is the classic protect the king mantra, in the sense that you have a fake out mon with megas in the Delphox or the Floette, and you also have that Sinistcha for redirection with Rage Powder.
All right, and here we go. We are off to the races. We're starting out with Floette and Sneasler up against Blastoise and Maushold. Very interesting leads here. I would not be surprised at all if we see a turn 1 fake out here from both sides, but the question is, who's going to see it coming and who's going to protect?
That is true, and also important to note, because Maushold is on the field, that Friend Guard ability is actually giving Blastoise more of a defensive profile than it already has, especially if it is a Shell Smash variant.
We're going to see a turn 1 Mega Evolution from Jason. He's not holding back. He's going straight for the Mega Evolution with Floette here. Do we have a fake out from Sneasler? Noobish has responded accordingly. He's Mega Evolving Blastoise turn 1. Both sides are just going all out from the start. You love to see it.
You love to see it. Maushold going for that
Maushold protect.
Here.
Did he predict accordingly? Noobish went for the double protect here.
But Sneasler going for that fake out. And Floette going for the Dazzling Gleam.
Oh, very.
Interesting not to see a Calm Mind come out on this Floette. Try to give it a little bit of extra power against that Friend Guard Maushold and the Blastoise. But now Blastoise in a very interesting position. It could very easily go for that Shell Smash if Maushold redirects the Sneasler with Follow Me. But at the same time, if this Maushold is not holding that Chople Berry or a Focus Sash, Highland, there's a potential that Maushold gets knocked out from close combat.
It is definitely a very risky strategy here, Talon, and we can see that Sneasler is just going for Dire Claws. It does not carry. Gets the para on Maushold, too. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. And Maushold has died to a crit D-Gleam coming from that Mega Floette.
Maushold is down.
But Noobish goes for the Shell Smash. This Blastoise is officially a threat.
That is a very powerful Blastoise, and depending on who's in the bag for this Blastoise, and it might be that Sinistcha. If Sinistcha comes in, that Hospitality ability is going to give Blastoise 25% more of its HP, and those Water Spouts are going to do massive damage.
This Blastoise will not care if it is at 66%. And it's about to be a lot higher because of Hospitality from Sinistcha. This Blastoise is back up to almost full. These Water Spouts will hurt. Is Noobish going to switch to Politoed for the Rain boost here? Or is he just going to play defensively?
Ooh, if there's a Politoed with that Rain in the back as the 4th Pokemon, that would be massive for Noobish. However, the Floette, there is a... Okay, that's interesting to go for the
very
protect on
interesting play.
Blastoise.
Sneasler goes for the Gyro Claw on Blastoise. It needs to status this thing, and fast.
Blastoise protects it. Let's see how much
Jason
damage this does.
wants this Blastoise dead, and I don't blame him. This is terrifying. And since just going for the Matcha Gotcha pressure.
There's a 20% chance to cause a burn on the Matcha Gotcha on either of Jason's Pokemon. Let's see, is there a burn?
It does not look like a burn, but Sinister does get quite a bit of its health back from that lifesteal property. Matcha Gotcha is such a good move for just chip and sustain on this Pokemon. Jason's going to switch out Sneasler into his own Sinistra, getting his Floette back up to full.
Again, the Floette back to full there as Sinistra switches out as well.
Do we see? The Politoed is on the field. Blastoise is going for game. There's the water spout. There is complete carnage. The Sinistra's barely alive. Floette is dead.
What a one-hit knockout into the flower.
Play. Nubish did not bring a turtle. He brought an atomic bomb, and he has detonated it.
My goodness. And we're going to see the King Gambit come out.
King Gambit on the field. Now, it is not Supreme Overlord, so this is probably Defiant.
It is a Defiant King Gambit. Now, it's important to note here, Highland, this Blastoise is at -1 on its physical defense. Now, it did just go for that water spout. There is the potential to protect on this turn. If Sinistra comes in and there's a Kowtow cleave into the Sinistra, Jason might have found a way back in.
This game is far from over. Hospitality is getting that Blastoise back up to full. Goes for the protect. Did Jason predict properly and Kowtow the Sinistra? He Sucker Punch. Sinistra's going for its own Matcha Gotcha here. Protecting Blastoise. It's going to take a little bit of health back from Nubish's Sinistra. Do we get a burn? We do not.
We do not see the burn, but now this Sinistra can redirect that Sucker Punch from King Gambit with the Rage Powder, and now this Blastoise can just go for any attack. Yeah, there's the Rage Powder.
This might be game, ladies and gentlemen. We see the Sucker Punch failing because of the redirection. Blastoise is going for Water Spout here. This is going to just bring down both sides, and it is now a Sneasler against the world.
Impressive double KO there for Nubish, just showcasing the power of this Mega Blastoise after getting that Shell Smash off.
Very, very well played strategy, especially with the Politoed. You do not see a lot of Politoed in current regulation. Most people gravitate towards Pelipper, but it's always nice to see the Toad get some love.
Well, the thing is with Politoed, in a matchup like this, if you did have a Pokemon such as a Mr. Rhyme or the Mega Gengar with Shadow Tag, you might be able to pull off a cheeky Perish Song mode with the Politoed, or you can still go for the Perish Song regardless, as Blastoise protects itself from the Sneasler, and now this is single target damage from this Blastoise into a Sneasler that most likely had a Focus Sash broken from the earlier Matcha Gotcha of this Sinistra.
Politoed does also have the ability to be running Encore shenanigans as well, which is always a very powerful option, especially in a doubles-based format.
And here comes that final Water Spout from this Blastoise, picking up all 4 knockouts in this game number 1 for Nubish Joe. What a battle from Nubish there.
What a incredible display of Mega Blastoise. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody always memes about Shell Smash, and I think we've just seen firsthand that that meme is not just a meme, it is a threat. Mega Blastoise is very real, and it can and will hurt you.
Now, the thing is that Nubish Joe actually said in the background for us, Highland, he did say he prays that Mega Floette doesn't come to every match that he plays in the Draco Cup. He's already played one so far, and he flushed it down the toilet with all that rain from the Mega Blastoise and those water spouts.
But now the question is, will we see any changes in game plan here
Now,
Curious to
again,
see if we see any substitutions.
Now, what's also important to note, again, Jason played that match as well as he could against Nubish Joe. And Nubish Joe, again, congratulations on winning game 1. What Jason could have done in that game 1 is, again, that turn where Blasters went for Water Spout, you have to respect the potential of Protect. And I guarantee you Jason was thinking that there could have been a Protect coming, but if he would have went for Kowtow into the Politoed switching out to bring that Sinistcha in, suddenly he's got that Sucker Punch right on tap for that Blastoise at -1 defense.
He certainly
does.
does.
Get into this second game between Jason and Anubis. Jason is going to lead with the same starter of that
leads.
Floette and Sneasler.
And it looks like Nubish has responded in kind. We've got the same start as last game, but the question is, will the moves be different?
It will be interesting about that. We did see a double protect on the first turn in game number 1. Now, the question is, will the Sneasler go for Dire Claw into the Mousehold, or would it go for close combat? And is this Mousehold a focus sash?
That is a good question. It's also possible that Nubish doesn't go for the double protect turn 1 here. He might choose to play this differently. And we see that he is. He's immediately switching out Blastoise for Incineroar and getting an Intimidate off.
That's a big switch up on Nubish's side, bringing Incineroar in. But we are going to see the Mega Floette activated again in this battle for Jason. And now Mousehold. If Mousehold goes for a Protect here, this will be a very interesting move.
Sneasler going for Fake Out on the Mousehold, which means that Nubish did not protect. And there's the Calm Mind from Floette. This has become a battle. Floette is in a very threatening position now.
Floette has just set up that Calm Mind at +1 on its special attack and special defense. This Friend Guard not going to be doing much in the turns of the Mousehold, but we are seeing the Floette protect itself on this turn, maybe for a Fake Out into Incineroar.
Nubish is going for Fake Out on Sneasler here, trying to get some nice chip, prevent Sneasler from going for any sort of Dire Claw strats. Mousehold's going for Encore, but Floette protected. He wanted to lock that man into Calm Mind.
And that would have been a big play if Floette was encored into Calm Mind, because Floette would be getting a little bit more on its special defense every single turn. Those Shell Smashes wouldn't be doing as much for Blastoise unless it kept going for them. And Incineroar's going to switch out here and bring in the Sinistcha. That's going to bring the Mousehold back up to full HP. If it's a Focus Sash variant, it's now got that Focus Sash back in tow.
They're going for the close combat. It was Focus Sash. Very well played from Nubish.
And the Focus Sash does activate for the Mousehold. The defense and special defense do drop on Sneasler.
Mousehold goes for Encore, gets it off.
Now Floette is forced to Encore into
Floette is locked into Protect. You already at the pub called me old, but I showed him my ID. We unk status. We are. God, I'm so old.
But now, it's also important to note, in this board state for Jason, you do have that Floette who is Encore in a Protect. We have now seen all 4 Pokemon on Nubish's side in this game. He did not bring the Politoed for game number 2. There is no rain for this Blastoise. There is a potential of a Delphox or a Sinistcha in the back for Jason in this game. Suddenly, this Mousehold is potentially staring down, being knocked out.
See, Jason's still forced to go for Protect on Floette here. He stayed in with Sneasler. Mousehold's going for Follow Me, choosing to sack itself here so the Sinistcha can get some sort of damage or setup out. Gets the crit on Dire Claw too, not that it matters. But now the question is, what does Nubish switch into?
We're going to see the Matcha Gotcha come out from the Sinistcha. It is 90% accurate, but it
He's
does
fishing for a burn here. Do we get it?
Not very effective on the opposing Sneasler. 20% does not activate. Sneasler is still at full attacking power, but Incineroar comes out again. This Sneasler is now at -2 on its physical attack.
Jason's gonna have to switch out Toon if he wants the Sneasler to remain in offensive pressure. But the question is, into what?
That is the question. Into what? Now, if it is the Sinistcha that can help out with Rage Powder redirection, if it's King Gambit, you are staring down the potential of a super effective Flare Blitz from the Incineroar. And it
switching
is the King Gambit.
into King Gambit. question is, did Incineroar protect this and use a fire-type move? It did. It went for the Flare Blitz on Floette, doing a lot of damage there.
That's huge into the Floette, down to 37%. The Matcha Gotcha at the +1 on this Floette brings it down to 26%. Let's see, though. No
Floette is no longer encored.
That is a big turn of events right there. Floette no longer encored. +1 with the Fairy Aura. This Dazzling Gleam could potentially pick up the two-hit knockout into this Incineroar. It's gonna chunk it for big damage right now, unless the Sinistcha goes for Rage Powder or switches out into Blastoise.
This is true. This is a very precarious position for Nubish now. Both sides are still very much in this, but Jason does have a very distinct edge currently.
I mean, I do agree with that. I do want to see how this King Gambit targets here, but we actually are just going to see Jason switch
Jason's
out
going
the
to go
King Gambit
into his own Sinistcha to get Floette's health back.
Bringing Floette up to 50% even. Sinistcha protecting itself. Now, this Floette, we saw Dazzling Gleam, Calm Mind, and Protect. Here's that Dazzling Gleam into the Incineroar. +1 with the Fairy Aura. How much will this do?
It's not very effective, my left cheek. Good lord.
The Flare Blitz comes out into this Floette. And
Floette is down.
That's a huge knockout right there. But Incineroar brought down a 31% after the recoil damage. So now you have just lost your Mega Evolution in that Mega Floette. I venture to say that this, the next Pokemon coming out might be the Sneasler because it hasn't had its Intimidates anymore. It's going to be coming back in neutral, and this is going to do big damage into the Sinistcha.
He brings back out King Gambit. I am very surprised. I thought for sure Sneasler would come in close combat the Incin.
I am as well, but you also have to factor in the Rage Powder on both sides with the Sinistcha. And now, if Rage Powder goes from either Sinistcha, this is going to be super effective either way. It's going to be either a Flare Blitz into Jason's Sinistcha and most likely a Kowtow Cleave into Nubish's. And also, we see Jason's Sinistcha go for Rage Powder first, looking to be the faster of these two Sinistchas in the speed matchup.
It sure looks like it. Looks like Nubish has responded with his own Rage Powder as Incineroar goes for a Flare Blitz, killing Jason's Sinistcha.
An immediate one-hit knockout with a critical
with a crit,
hit.
too.
Oh, my goodness. But how much recoil damage is this going to do?
Barely lives.
On 1%.
1%, and Sinistcha takes the Kowtow to protect Incineroar. What a turn.
And a dream for
What a turn.
Incineroar. Now this Sneasler has Fake Out on tap for this Incineroar to knock it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is coming down to the wire. Blastoise is going to have to bring this back for Nubish somehow, but the question is, can he pull it off?
Sinistcha down to 17%. Incineroar has to be on what looks like 1 HP, maybe even 2 HP at 1%. But if you bring that Blastoise in, Blastoise could suddenly take massive damage from either the the King Gambit or the Sneasler. As Sinistcha is going to protect itself here. And Caesar goes for that Fake Out.
Fake Out taking out the Incin. A predicted play, but a brutal one all the same. As King Gambit goes for the Swords Dance here.
Oh my Lanta. Going for that Swords Dance. King Gambit +2 on its physical attack. And Blastoise, we saw it as Shell Smash protect. No, we saw it Fake Out, Shell Smash, and Water Spout. We don't know what that fourth move is on this Blastoise. Does it have that Aura Sphere, which would be extremely effective into King Gambit?
Well, I think we're about to find out, Talon, as Nubish is going for that Mega Evolution on Blastoise. And let's see what he does. See Rage Powder going off here from the Sinistcha.
We're going to see the Sneasler go first with that Dire Claw. That will pick up the knockout into the Sinistcha. Let's see what Blastoise goes for here.
Blastoise goes for the Water Spout. This will be enough to bring down the Sneasler and the King Gambit.
Wow, it took the crit.
Oh, the crit.
The King Gambit. What a turn of events. The double KO, the Blastoise doesn't pull
What
through.
an upset.
What a game there for Nubish, defeating Jason 2-0 in week 1 of the Draco Cup.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a way for a set to end. That was a whole outcome.
I mean, I watched that game, and Jason played it both our trainers were absolutely flawless. Nubish piloted his Blastoise effectively, and losing the mouse hold early in game number 2, it looked like Nubish might have been on the back burner there, but getting that Blastoise out right at the end, letting your Sinistcha be sacrificed for your Blastoise there, and then getting that critical hit on Water Spout. I wonder if the Water Spout critical hit mattered there because the King Gambit was at +2 on its physical attack.
It's very interesting. And while we are waiting for the next match to get set up, let's look at some usage statistics real quick since we've got the time. As we can see here, our usage rate currently, Sin's just sitting at a 38% usage, which very, very expected, but shows a lot. We see a lot of Incineroar, King Gambit, very predictable stuff. Farigiraf is also here, though we have not seen one yet.
We have not seen Farigiraf, and our first 2 Pokemon capable of Mega Evolution are the Garchomp and the Charizard. Now, I venture to wonder if we have any Charizard X's in the usage status. We do know Charizard Y with that Drought ability has been a massive powerhouse in Regulation MA and Regulation MB.
It is very interesting to say. We see quite a bit of Sylveon usage as well here. Aerodactyl, not nearly as prevalent as it was in Regulation MA, but still very much is an annoyance and a hindrance to most teams in Regulation MB. Be very curious to see how many teams end up capitalizing on those rock slides.
Yeah, and looking at the rest of the usage stats, you see that Basculegion at 22%. Basculegion at 22%, pretty good usage stats for a Pokemon with that Last Respects move that gains 50 base power with every Pokemon that is knocked out on your side of the battlefield for a potential 200 base power move, and powered up with that adaptability. That Pokemon can pick up knockouts in ways that knockouts are not supposed to happen, Highland.
It very much is a problematic mon indeed. And the question is, what do you even bring in response? And the answer to that is, well, the joke answer is nothing. You just lose. But the real answer is, you have to figure it out in the moment.
Yeah, you have to figure it out in the moment. And again, shout outs to both our trainers there. I mean, Diet Tight, like I said, recently won the SPL D League, which was an incredible season over in that division, getting a shot in the main league and doing really well in that main league. I'm not 100% sure when the next season of that is starting up. That is going to be probably something that Joey and them are looking at getting started once we see what the next regulation is on there. And also with Diet Tight, apparently Joey named his Mega Kang after Nubish Joe.
That is something he's done. Nubish is a very, very notorious and prevalent player in the other metas on Smogon. Most recently, he went to town in the most recent FPL with almost any ability, where he pulled out some very, very crazy and unconventional sets that worked out in his favor. He is very much a hard man to read and a hard man to predict. And frankly, when you are up against him, you are not controlling the game, he is. And the question is, what did his mind come up with on that day? Coming up, though, is going to be our match against OB3. And if I can find him on the sheet here, Roaming Cookie, who I am not sure if he has a different name on our sheet here.
Yeah, it's Nuga Ziz.
Yeah. You see here, it looks like Nogagiz has quite a bit of experience at regionals and locals. Made it to top 8 in Regulation G of Scarlet and Violet. We'll see if that experience carries over into Regulation MB. Meanwhile, OB3 has 3 regionals worth of experience. He's gone 4-4 into 1-3 and 0-4. Has quite a bit of experience himself. We'll see how those go. I will say that I am silently rooting for Obi simply because on the Let Us Know Anything Else section, he simply put, I have his pet salamander named Mudkip, and he is my friend Smile. And frankly, that is just based.
That is just based. I love that. And especially the fact that the Mudkip line is actually based on a real-life animal, the axolotl.
It is indeed. Justine Flapple, thank you for the sub. Slowly, just... Thank you for all support. I've got a lot of people in the chat here. I'm not responding to everything, guys, but understand that I am reading all the messages. It is very nice to see all this discussion.
We also do have a room code set up for this match.
We do indeed. Let me go ahead and get this plugged in and get the scene swapped over.
And looking at a setup here for our 2 trainers, I'm going to start out with Obi's team first. A pretty standard Sun Trick Room team, combining the power of Torkoal, Vileplume, and most likely Farigiraf. And Vileplume with that Chlorophyll ability, you can go for those after use, and suddenly Torkoal, despite that base 20 speed, Highland, it'll be the fastest Pokemon on the field. And those eruptions will be doing big damage.
Torkoal is a very slept-on mon, but it is a very threatening one, especially given the fact that it can set up its own sun, which means those eruptions hurt a lot more than they otherwise would. The question is, will he be able to get this into a situation where Torkoal can go off? And frankly, I have confidence.
I have confidence as well. Now, both of our trainers have good teams. I am curious when we look at Noog's team, or Roman Cookies, because they have Mega Venusaur and Mega Blaziken, apparently. Mega Blaziken right now in Regulation MB, a very nice Mega Evolution that actually has been picking up a lot of usage due to the fact that it gets access to Rock Slide. And Rock Slide from Mega Blaziken can actually get the one-hit knockout on most Charizards right now.
I do have a very special place in my heart for the Kung Fu Fighting Chicken. And so now the question is, will he succeed? Also want to be known, Noobish in the chat has said, I robbed that game too, I feel so bad. Listen, it made for good content.
Hey, in all fairness, that's VGC life. I mean, plus we've all played Draft League, so we all know when unfortunate RNG turns the tide of a battle. But looking at the teams officially that we do see him on the screen, we actually do see on Obi's side, there's actually no Vileplume like I was thinking. There's a Mawile on Obi's team. And Mawile with huge power, that is a massive threat into Nuga's team.
There is a Mawile, but conversely, over on Cookie's side of things, I see an Alolan Ninetales, and Aurora Veil could make this a very interesting game long-term.
I definitely could see the Alolan Ninetales as well. By switching Torkoal's Sun to Snow, you could even force the Charizard to be the Mega Evolution of choice in this battle. But we also have to see if Charizard would come to this match, because if it does Mega and Torkoal doesn't come, Highland, that activates Venusaur's chlorophyll ability
It
before
most
it
certainly
would make a
does.
ball.
Especially when both sides seem to have their own Venusaur, so it will be very interesting to see how much Obi wants to commit to Sun.
And also important to note, the King Gambit on Cookie's side, it does have a good advantage into the Farigrev, and if it does get a Defiant boost, that'll be doing major damage into something like the Incineroar. But let's get into this game number 1 between Cookie and Obi. Cookie is going to lead King Gambit and Bascu Legion, and for Obi, it's Incineroar and Farigrev. So while Fake Out is on the side of Obi, we just saw the
Defiant boost from the King Gambit right off the bat as well. That is +1 right out the gate.
This +1 right out the gate, and this King Gambit cannot go for sucker punches at all because the Farigrev is on the field with that Armor Tail ability. But if Incineroar switches out into the Torkoal potentially, I wonder if we see a Kowtow Cleave go into this Farigrev, and at +1, it might pick up the one-hit knockout here.
We very well could. They have to play this incredibly carefully. Priority moves are also a no-go currently because of Farigrav's Armor Tail ability. So we will see how exactly Nuga plays around this. This is a very interesting position.
Yeah, and also thinking about it here, let's see. There's the Fake Out into the King Gambit, bringing it down to 95%. And more importantly, gets that flinch.
Bascu Legion going for the flip turn. What will we see come out?
So Bascu Legion goes for that flip turn, given the appearance that it might be a Choice Scarf variant, but it's going to be the Lycanroc Dust with that Tough Claws ability. King Gambit flinches and can't move, and
Rick Room is online.
Now this is where it gets very interesting, Highland. Trick Room is up, but this King Gambit, depending on its speed investment, it could still be slower than the Incineroar on Obi's side. And if it does have low kick, this Incineroar might be taking some big damage.
This is true. There is also the fact of the matter here of none of the go-to Trick Room switch-ins here fare well against Lycanroc. So this will be interesting to see what happens here. Mawile might be the best option, but it's definitely a precarious one here. Torkoal does not necessarily want to come in against something like Lycanroc, especially if Farigrev ever has to end the field, because if Lycanroc has a Cell Rock, that is just free pressure that does not care about Trick Room. Looks like we see a double protect on Nuga's side,
which actually helps out on Nuga's side as it takes another turn of the Trick Room away for Obi in this game number 1. But now you have to wonder if Incineroar can pick up the knockout into the King Gambit with Flare Blitz, and if Lycanroc can pick up the KO into Incineroar.
This is a very interesting position. Obi needs to switch into some sort of offensive pressure here, but the question is, who wants to come in? And frankly, I'm not sure that there's a go-to answer here. Mawile makes the most sense, but even that has its problems here. We're going to see the Colbur Berry get procced against the Kowtow Cleave from King Gambit here, but it doesn't matter. Farigrev is still going to go down.
That Defiant boost helping out King Gambit through that Colbur Berry. And the Life Orb as well on the King Gambit. A Life Orb King Gambit as Incineroar going for Throat Chop and a critical.
Getting a crit too. Lycanroc lives on 1, not even a Focus Sash. Goes for the Rock Slide here.
That is a big momentum swing. They're getting the single target Rock Slide into the Incineroar, bringing it down to its Citrus Berry. Incineroar barely under 50% on its HP, but now you get to bring in someone like that Torkoal, which could set up the Sun and help out.
This is true, although now that there's no more Farigrev, a Cell Rock is a viable option now. As is Sucker Punch. Priority is now on the menu.
You are right there. And this Torkoal, if it goes for a Protect potentially, that will stall out at least one turn of Trick Room for Obi in this match, and probably help out the Charizard or Venusaur in the back as Incineroar switches out for the Mawile as the 4th and final Pokemon. And King Gambit protects
Very
itself,
interesting.
trying to avoid any damage.
Also, not Intimidate on this Mawile. Very interesting.
Yeah, Hypercutter Mawile in this matchup actually works out well in Obi's favor there, Highland, because you don't give this King Gambit another Defiant boost, even though as long as the King Gambit is on the field, it is potentially susceptible to getting another Defiant from the Incineroar once it switches back in.
That is true. Will we see an Eruption soon? I feel like he has to. But the question is, will Nuga let Obi get away with that option? Obi's going to go for the Mega Evolution on Mawile here. Huge Power is now active. We're going to see what Mawile chooses to do. Going for that Sucker Punch against Lycanroc, taking it out. No longer have to worry about Rock Slides or Accel Rocks here, but Sucker Punch is going to hit the Torkoal here for quite a bit of damage.
And with that Life Orb, King Gambit taking extra damage. But now this is single target Eruption in the sun at 39%, but it's still enough to pick up the King Gambit.
That is a Fallen General, which means now we're going to see Basculegion come back in, as well as the fourth Pokemon that Nuga brought. Who is it going to be?
In comes the Basculegion first and foremost, and it is the Blaziken. So now this Blaziken coming out, and the sun is active. That actually is helping out Cookie in this matchup immensely in the face of this Mawile.
That is going to be a very interesting position, especially once this Blaziken Mega evolves. As we're about to see, this Pokemon is truly an example of what happens when a mon is made ahead of their time, because as we all know, Mega Blaziken is a problem. We're going to see Basculegion going for Aqua Jet here for some additional pressure on that Torkoal. It's not going to be enough to kill. Sucker Punch fails as Mega Blaziken's going for that Flare Blitz, knocking Mawile out immediately. That was Sun Boosted raw off of a Pokemon with an absurd amount of attack. That's a lot of damage.
We do see Weather Ball come out from the Torkoal into the Blaziken, bringing it down. It's not enough. Blaziken survives the turn and gets that speed boost up. It will be getting this Intimidate coming out from Incineroar, but at the same time, the Torkoal's at 21% of its HP, and Basculegion just
Torkoal's at 21%. Trick Room is no longer active either, which means Blaziken will be going first. And the question is, what are we going to see? Are we going to see pressure from Rock Slide, or are we going to see Blaziken hard commit to a single target move to try to get something off the field? We're going to see neither. Nuga's choosing to play it safe and go for a Protect.
Basculegion goes for the Aqua Jet into the Incineroar, bringing it down just to 25%. Here's the Throat Chop, and that almost gets the one-hit knockout in a Basculegion. And Torkoal, though, goes for the Heat Wave into the Blaziken. This hits the Basculegion, knocks it out. Blaziken in a 1v2. If it has Rock Slide, it'll come down to that 90% accuracy.
This is truly a blow-for-blow moment here, Talon. All that needs to happen is a single Rock Slide Flitch for this game to get turned on its head. And the question is, will it happen? Or will it even matter? Both Pokemon are already at a low enough health threshold that Rock Slide might be enough to kill. But Blaziken's going for the close combat, getting rid of Incin. Torkoal has an opportunity to respond here. What will it do?
Close combat comes out. Torkoal goes for the Weather Ball into the Mega Blaziken in the sun with that -1 special defense. Picks up the knockout, and Obi, despite losing their Trick Room, thanks to massive piloting by Nuga there, takes game one of this best of three.
That came down to the wire. What an intense game. My cat is beginning to terrorize me behind the camera, so if you hear meows, you know why.
Oh man, but that was an incredible game one there, Highland. You watched as Obi got the Defiance set up on Nuga's King Gambit. That King Gambit was set up early and often, but it still got through the for Farigiraf, thanks to that Life Orb held item with the Kowtow Cleave, it did not even matter that Farigiraf was holding a Cobra Berry in that setting.
That is correct. Will we see any different switch-ins from either side? We might see a Charizard hit the field this time. Curious to see how both sides play.
I want to say for an adaptation here, we might see the Alola Ninetales come out, because we saw Mawile had Sucker Punch. We didn't see, though, if Mawile has its Iron Head and play rough. If it does have Iron Head, that might be an interesting turn of events here. But let's get into game 2.
I did also just get the team sheets, courtesy of PK. I did not have these prior. So...
And we see a switch up on Obi's side, the Mawile as a lead alongside Farigiraf. So while Sucker Punch is in tow against this Basculegion, Aqua Jet is not.
Very interesting place here. This King Gambit not being a +1 from the get-go might mean the difference between a repeat of last game or not. We'll be curious to see what happens. Obi's going for that turn 1 Mega Evolution on Mawile. What is he going to choose to do here, though? Is he going... Well, first we see this fish just going for a Wave Crash, doing a huge amount of damage. Never underestimate adaptability, ladies and gentlemen. Kowtow Cleave coming off of King Gambit as well, proccing that Cobra Berry. Farigiraf is going to live this time, though.
Now, let's see. The Life Orb recoil takes King Gambit down a little bit after that power boost, but Mawile goes for the huge power boost and play rough. That's a one-hit knockout.
That was a crit kill. This King Gambit is off the field. Farigiraf getting that Trick Room up. Joey, thank you for the raid.
Now, Trick Room is in line for Obi. This Mawile in perfect position to go for Sucker Punches into this Basculegion, who's now locked in with that Wave Crash that did almost 70% to the Mega Mawile. And that wasn't even through Intimidate, Highland, because his Mawile is Hyper Cutter.
This Mawile is proving why Mega Evolution can be incredibly powerful in the right hands. We'll be very curious to see what Nuga does in response here. Losing King Gambit this early is quite a detriment. There is not much that wants to come out here. Frosty, thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
You see Venusaur is the third Pokemon. A switch up on Nuga's side, bringing the Venusaur instead of the Lycanroc Dusk.
Very interesting, especially if Obi still brought Sun, because Venusaur, as we know, does get access to Chlorophyll.
Venusaur does get access to Chlorophyll, but if Torkoal is in the bat, this Trick Room is online for the Torkoal, and with the Sun, that actually boosts Torkoal's power, even though when Venusaur Mega Evolves, it gets the Thick Fat ability.
That is true. Very curious to see both sides picking their options here. You've got 4 turns left in Trick Room. Let's see how you make the most of it. We're going to see a Mega Evolved Venusaur hit the field. Not going for the Mega Blaziken strat this time. Mega Venusaur, as we all know, is incredibly tanky with that Thick Fat ability. Going for Protect as well. This thing is not to be underestimated.
Mawile goes for the Rock Slide. At huge power into the Basculegion, bringing it down to 44%. But let's see, did Farigiraf... It went for the Thunderbolt!
Went for the T-Bolt! That is a fried fish!
What a knockout! Obi is piloting this matchup incredible against Nuga. And we're down to Nuga's final 2 Pokemon. But what are the final 2? It's the Lycanroc!
He is back for more! We do not have access to priority, though, because Armor Tail is still active. So how will Nuga play around the Trick Room? He's still got 3 turns left, and while Venusaur isn't exactly fast, it is not typically a mon that is slow enough to benefit from Trick Room. He has to go for strategies like a double protect, but he fails. Rock Slide's gonna miss the Venusaur, though. That single target on Lycanroc now does a heavy amount of damage. Farigiraf goes for that Psychic, doing a massive amount of damage to Venusaur as well, but Venusaur, like I've said, is a very bulky mon, especially when it Megas. It very easily handles that. CC's knocking out that Mawile as well, but Lycanroc's now in a very precarious position.
That -1 on its defensive special defense, and because Venusaur went for a double protect there and failed, it didn't get a chance to go for any damage into the Farigiraf, and we're seeing the Torkoal is back out on the field.
This is now a very interesting position for that Venusaur, because while Thick Fat will make it so that it effectively only takes neutral, it is at low enough health to where it will die from even a Heat Wave at this point, especially from a Sun-boosted Torkoal. Let alone what happens if this Torkoal goes for Eruption. The question is, what will happen? Venusaur's going for that Protect here, trying to stay alive for as long as possible. Nuka's going for the double Protect on both mons too, trying to just see what this Torkoal will do. Went straight for that Eruption. Obi is not playing around.
And the Farigiraf goes for the Psychic once again. Now there is the potential for a double protect here. This is the last turn of the Trick Room, Highland. If Nuga gets the double protect, there might be a way for them to knock out the Farigiraf here and put this Torkoal in a precarious position.
He is betting it all on RNGesus, and it looks like he has smiled upon Nuga. Got that Protect on the Blaziken, did not get it on Lycanroc, though.
See the Eruption come out once again into the Lycanroc, pick up the knockout.
Venusaur's going to protect against that Psychic. It is now a 1v2 of Venusaur against a Farigiraf and Torkoal, not to mention that Obi still has another Pokemon in the back that we have not seen. This is a very uphill battle now.
It is an uphill battle for Obi, for Nuga here. Obi in commanding position against this Venusaur with the single target Eruption potentially.
Be very interesting to see if this Venusaur can do anything. Trick Room is not currently active, however, though, so Venusaur will outspeed the Torkoal. He goes for the Earth Power on Farigiraf. Not enough to kill, though.
But the Psychic from this Farigiraf in return knocks out the Venusaur. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be having a game 3 in this best of 3.
This is a very back and forth game.
And we're going to have a game 3 here, ladies and gentlemen. We do want to make note of that. Unfortunately, there was a small issue that happened on the back end, and there was a game loss awarded in game number 2. So despite Obi winning game 1, or Obi won game 1, and despite looking like they won game 2, because of the small team sheet error there, we are going to have a game 3. So Nuga did take a game off of Obi.
Let's see what happens in response here. As I attempt to figure out how the hell this team sheet is formatted so I could find the correct... Oh, here we go. Found it. There we go. Now I actually have notes. Notes are helpful.
Notes are definitely helpful, but looking at how Nuga's played games 1 and 2 against Obi's very potent hard Trick Room setup with that Torkoal, Mawile, and Farigiraf combination, Highland, I venture to say that in game 3, we might just see the Blaziken come out as a lead, and you go for the damage fast and early.
It is a possibility. You can see that both sides have definitely solid measures of counterplay against each other. So this really is going to come down to who can adapt first.
Let's get into this game 3. Make some noise as Obi is leading with that Mawile and Farigiraf from game 1. And on Nuga's side, another switch up. Dusk Lycanroc being led with King Gambit.
Very interesting. As we know, this King Gambit does pack Kowtow, which is going to do heavy damage to Farigiraf, but that Farigiraf does have Cobra Berry, so it should live 1. And then Trick Room gets up on deck. So will this happen as predicted, or does Nuga have a trick up his sleeve? Let's find out.
Yeah, I mean, that Life Orb King Gambit doing massive damage with that 30% power boost at the cost of 10% of Lycanroc's King Gambit's HP. As we are going to see Mawile for the 3rd game in this set, Mega Evolve into the Mega Mawile with the 2 heads, and we're seeing the Sucker Punch come out, bringing Lycanroc down to 21%. Lycanroc goes for the Rock Slide into the Farigiraf, doing a good amount of damage there, but let's see. Here's that Kowtow cleave.
Going for the Kowtow, procs the Cobra Berry. Is it enough? No, Farigiraf is barely alive.
What a survival. This Farigiraf does it again.
Oh, but the flinch! Trick Room is not active.
A huge flinch there for Nuga's Dusk Lycanroc into this Farigiraf. No Trick Room online. Mawile potentially staring down an Iron Head from this King Gambit, or the Farigiraf is staring down a Kowtow cleave.
This game 3 suddenly got very interesting.
Oh my goodness.
Farigiraf going for the helping hand play here to support Mawile. What move did he click?
Lycanroc going to protect itself on this turn. Was it a Sucker Punch? It's a Kowtow cleave into the Farigiraf. Farigiraf is knocked out, but if Mawile goes into the King Gambit potentially with that Life Orb and the Iron Head, oh, it's Rock Slide with the helping hand.
This is going to do some heavy damage to King Gambit, but not enough to make that much of a difference. Obi now has to play this team without relying on Trick Room, which is very interesting, depending on what mons he's brought.
You are right on that, and we're going to see Incineroar as the 3rd Pokemon. So King Gambit gets that Defiant boost again.
This is not a good position, especially given the fact that King Gambit does have coverage for Incin. However, as we know, Incineroar does pack moves like Flare Blitz. We're going to see King Gambit going for that Protect here. Lycanroc's going for the close combat pressure. Incineroar takes it, though.
That is big damage into Incineroar, down to 21% before its Citrus Berry helps it heal. And Incineroar, though, went for the Flare Blitz into the King Gambit, who protects himself, in Mawile going for that Rock Slide. No helping hand boost, but huge power. Picks up the knockout into the Lycanroc.
What will Nuga bring out in response to this? We're going to see Basculegion enter the field. Very interesting play.
Basculegion revealed as the 3rd Pokemon for Nuga. And now with that Choice Scarf, it's locked into whatever move it chooses first, Highland. If we see it go for Aqua Jet, that'll turn off Mawile's Sucker Punch into the Basculegion.
It will indeed, and that's exactly what we see as it knocks out the Incineroar with that Aqua Jet.
Oh, that's a big knockout, and oh, we just see Sucker Punch.
Heavy damage against the opposing Mawile.
And down to 47%, but Mawile went for the Sucker Punch, and it will fail.
Hi, Bob. Oracle has hit the field. It does not have the luxury of allowing Trick Room to let it sweep with Eruption. So this thing's going to take damage. The question is, how will Obi play this? Is he going to rely on Heat Wave? Is he going to rely on other moves?
We're going to see King Gambit protect itself here, trying to avoid any damage from the Torkoal on this turn. Basculegion goes for the Aqua Jet with that Sun and the critical hit.
Mawile's going for that Rock Slide.
and protects the King Gambit, but Basculegion brought just above 50% after that. But here's that Heat Wave in the Sun. Basculegion, despite being a water type, will take some big damage, and there is that potential for a burn on Basculegion, and there's no burn.
Does not happen. Basculegion does have one more Aqua Jet available to it before it gets knocked out, presumably. However, with Sun up, the damage here will be reduced. It might not be enough to take something off the board.
It might not be enough, but at the same time, this Torkoal is still at full HP. Until now, there's the Aqua Jet to break Torkoal's 100% HP as King Gambit sucker punches into the Mawile, and it does enough to pick up the knockout.
Mawile's down. This is now a 1v2 with a Torkoal against a King Gambit and a Basculegion. One of these he does not care about. The other, however, is problematic. And they both die to a sun-boosted Heat Wave.
A huge
with a crit.
Huge double knockout there for the Torkoal. We're going to be in a 1v1 situation between Nuga and Obi. But what is that last Pokemon for Nuga? If it is, it's a Blaziken.
Oh, this is a clash of titans.
The Blaziken is out on the field. The Harsh Sunlight is out for another 3 more turns, and this Blaziken does have the potential to Mega Evolve, and that's what's going to happen. Mega Blaziken in this game number 3 with the potential to go for those close combats or Flare Blitzes in the Sun, thanks to Torkoal's Sun. And we're going to see
it go for the latter.
Bringing it
heavy amount of damage on this opposing Torkoal. Torkoal's going for Weather Roll in response. This is going to do a heavy amount of damage to Blaziken, but not enough to knock it out.
Brought down to 30%, but the speed boost is coming out for this Blaziken with 30%, 36%. It's a battle of Hoenn fire types. Game 3. Will the Blaziken do enough? Here's the close
combat hits the field and knocks out the Torkoal. Nuga takes it.
What a comeback for Nuga, winning the set 2-1 over Obi in this best of 3.
What a game.
That was absolutely incredible from our 2 trainers. Congratulations to Nuga, winning the set 2-1 and playing through that hard trick room mode expertly.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, there will be a slight delay before Game 3 as we are going to allow the people to back in just to make sure there aren't any errors with team structure. So, in the meantime, let's see if I have any information on our next contestants. Because as it appears, our next contestants is what happened. I really should get a 3rd monitor at this rate because I have too much on screen at once now. Our next contestants, or rather participants, are going to be Daniel against one Frosty Random, who I know plenty about, and at this point could probably give a college lecture on. Meanwhile, as for Daniel, he's got a 4-3 GCF. He went... Hang on, everybody. I will be right back. Quick intervention. All right. Sorry about that, folks. I had a unexpected visit from my dad. So we are good to go now. All right. Okay. I am back. Sorry about that. Folks, had a quick thing from family, but thankfully, we had a little bit of time. So I have case from everybody, and we are almost ready to get started with Frosty against Daniel. Now, Frosty, as we know, has a lot of VGC experience, including various laddering sessions on champions that I have been a part of. So I know how this man thinks. And the question is, what did he do this time? Because he has strategies. Some more conventional than others. Be on the lookout for Lugia that's incredibly angry. All right. So going to go ahead and give them a ping. All right. Now, as for Daniel, he went 4-3 at GCF, 4-4 in the Indy Regional, 8-4 in the St. Jude 2026 tournament, 4-3 on the GCF Encore. So he's got a lot of experience, although he only started with champions. So it's very interesting to see that he does not have any sort of negative record yet, despite having such a fresh start. It will be very curious to see how this team plays out. I've got a room ID. It is time to get in there and see how things play out. Chat is placing their bets. In fact, you know what? I can make this easier. If chat wants to place their bets, then I say let them have gambling. Then OTS, if you want to show it, I appreciate that. Let me pull that up. both sides getting ready, and we're going straight into the game. No time for me to even pull up a team sheet. We're gonna see Frosty leading out with Excadrill T-Tar against Daniel with a Raichu Grimmsnarl lead. Looks like Frosty is running a Sandcore here. Now the question is this going to be Raichu X or Raichu Y? That's not much of a question. It's Raichu Y. We know it's Raichu Y. Come on. Like, we all know this at this point. Like, are you really living under a rock? Game got a bit more quiet. Hang on, let me... Probably just the music. There we go. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Gonna see what happens as we switch into Altaria. Daniel's going to Mega Evolve that Raichu into Mega Raichu Y. That's actually the first shiny we've seen this entire tournament. Excadrill's going for that turn 1 Protect. Did T-Tar follow suit? Yes, he did. Frosty went for the double here. Both sides choosing actions. Raichu Y, as we all know, is a very, very threatening Pokemon with that no guard ability. With access to stuff like Zap Cannon, Focus Blast. This thing has coverage. It also has pseudo Bolt Beam coverage because it gets access to Surf, which allows it to hit stuff like Excadrill. Not to mention, even though, you know, maybe just have Focus Blast for Excadrill and T-Tar anyway, which would hurt and pack a serious punch. However, it is frail. A couple Fake Outs are all that is needed to bring this thing out of the game. Frosty is going to switch T-Tar out for Sinistra here. Raichu's going for that Protect. We're going to see what this Excadrill chose to do. It chose to go for the Earthquake, which is going to hit nothing because of that Altaria's Flying type. Well, nothing except for Frosty's own Sinistra, which is honestly kind of comical. Altaria's going for Brave Bird here on Excadrill, doing a decent amount of chip. Got 3 turns left of Sandstorm. Let's see who makes the most of it. Lot of options available to both people right now. Sinistra, of course, has an absurd amount of options at her disposal. It could do Rage Powder here to try to mitigate and protect this Excadrill from Focus Blast. But all of a sudden, this Raichu's being swapped out with a Venusaur. Sinistra did go for Rage Powder, presumably to protect Excadrill. It's going for Earthquake still. That is going to hit Venusaur for a very, very nice amount of damage, doing over half. Altaria is going to get Tailwind up, though. A very beneficial condition for Daniel. All of a sudden, he now has speed control here. Altaria, as we know, also gets quite a bit of type coverage. However, this looks like it's more going to be support-based. Well, spoiler alert, it is very much support-based. As we know, this Altaria is packing Brave Bird, Roost, Will-O-Wisp, Tailwind. However, this is still Sand Rush, Excadrill, packing Earthquake, Iron Head, and it does have Rock Slide, which can kill this Altaria right now if it wanted to. Especially given that it's Adamant. Frosty's switching out, though, going into Electros. Venusaur's going for that Sludge Bomb. This is a set, ladies and gentlemen. Excadrill Electros, this is Mega Electros as well, which is not a mon that I have seen a whole lot of. We all know Mega Electros has an absolutely insane ability, having both Levitate and Beast Boost in a single ability, which is absurd. We're going to see it utilize that right now, going for that Mega Evolution. What did Daniel choose to do? Frosty's going for Protect on that Excadrill, trying to keep it alive. Venusaur went for the Giga Drain, getting quite a bit of health back against this Electros. Altaria is going for the Will-O-Wisp too, but it misses against Electros. Going for the Dragon Pulse here. That is not going to be enough to kill Altaria, but it did do a massive chunk. Altaria is not going to live another one of those without using Roost. Daniel does still have the speed advantage for one more turn until Tailwind runs out. Let's see what happens here. Both sides. Right, Tom Master. I think he went to go quick grab some food, I believe. Which he will be back afterward. Or at some point. But until then, it's just me. So, Altaria is going for that Earth Power against T-Tar. Oh, that was not Altaria, that was Venusaur. Altaria is going to go for the Roost, though, in order to live another Dragon Pulse from this Electros. But Electros went for Flamethrower against Venusaur, knocking it out. It is going to get a stat boost from this Elevate, though. It's getting that +1 special attack. Tailwind is also no longer on board. Daniel has lost his speed advantage. Mega Raichu Y is back, though, and as we know, that is an incredibly fast mon. One Focus Blast is all that he needs to knock out this T-Tar, and it will connect because of no guard. The real question is, will Raichu live long enough for that to work? Because as we know, this thing is very physically frail. That being said, it will outspeed T-Tar. It's going for the Fake Out against Electros, though. Altaria goes for the Will-O-Wisp on T-Tar and connects it. That is a very, very burnt Godzilla. Electros gets the flinch. T-Tar goes for that Rock Slide with the burn. That is not going to do enough to kill Altaria. Hell, Altaria can live another one of those. Realistically. Both sides thinking very carefully here. They are both down a mon. We do have that Grimmsnarl in the back, though, that Daniel can use for some defensive play. T-Tar being a dark type does sort of hinder it, though, because of how Prankster works. Frosty does still have that Excadrill in the back as well that can put up some nasty pressure with Sandrush active. Daniel's going to switch Altaria out into Grimmsnarl as Raichu goes for the Focus Blast on Electros. Not doing enough to kill, though. Electros goes for that T-Bolt on Grimmsnarl, doing a huge amount of damage and gets the paralysis. Oh boy. T-Tar's going for that knockoff on Raichu, doing a decent amount of chip here. Raichu's down to below half because of Sandstorm chip. Electros has one hit left in it before it's dead, as does Grimmsnarl. T-Tar's also not doing so well. All Pokemon on the field right now are basically fighting against terminal illnesses. And that is the most unhinged line I have said all stream. Will Grimmsnarl go for Reflect? It does. It gets it off too. No full para today. Raichu's going for that Focus Blast. Still on the Electros. Knocks it out. T-Tar's going for the Rock Slide though. Not enough to kill. This is what Burn does to a man. Grimmsnarl is barely alive after Sandstorm Chip. Excadrill is back on the field. It is now Excadrill and T-Tar against an Altaria, a Grimmsnarl, and a Raichu. This Grimmsnarl will die to Sandstorm Chip. Except Sandstorm is going to run out this turn, so it won't. However, it is quite literally one wrong stare away from death. Raichu's not doing so hot either, and Excadrill does have one turn of Sand Rush to make use of here. Let's see how this plays out. Daniel's going to switch out Grimmsnarl going into Altaria. Presumably predicting the EQ. Cloud9's going to eliminate Sand Rush, though. Focus Blast on the Excadrill. Knocks it out. This is now a 1v3. And T-Tar's on borrowed time from that burn. Rock Slide is not doing enough to kill anything because of that burn. Sandstorm is no longer active. T-Tar is one good hit away from death. One Focus Blast is all it's going to take. And there it is. T-Tar gets knocked out. Game 1 goes to Daniel. Now that I actually have a tiny bit of free time, never mind, because we're right back to it. Are we going to see any changes on this time on either seed? There is still a Milotic and a Cerulege we have not seen from Daniel, but conversely, Frosty did not bring Corv or Rotom Wash. Corviknight could be a very good pick against this team as long as Cerulege doesn't hit the field. We'll be curious to see if either side makes any sort of substitutions here. Looking quick at the OTS, I can see that this is Pivot Rotom with Electro Web, which could be very interesting in terms of overall speed control here. We see Excadrill and Rotom as a lead from Frosty this time. Versus Grimmsnarl Venusaur from Daniel. Science picking their choices very carefully here. Rotom does have Will-O-Wisp, however, against both of these Mons, it won't do a whole lot, especially since this is support Grimmsnarl. Excadrill, on the other hand, does have a lot of pressure with stuff like Rock Slide and Earthquake that it can use here. Frosty's going to withdraw Rotom, not going to Volt Switch either. He's just doubling straight into Corviknight. Grimmsnarl's going to get that Reflect up. Going to help it quite a bit against the pressure from this Excadrill, as Frosty did go for the Earthquake here. Doing some heavy chip to Grimmsnarl and Venusaur. Even through that Protect, Venusaur is going to go for the Giga Drain, get a little bit of its health back. That would have done a lot of damage to that Rotom if it stayed around. Corviknight's back up to almost full, though, because of those leftovers. Grimmsnarl presumably could go for the Light Screen here, however, there isn't much reason to. So it might just opt to go for straight for Parting Shot and get the heck out of here. Want to see Frosty switch Excadrill out, going back into Rotom. Grimmsnarl is indeed going to go for the parting shot here. Pivoting out, going into... back into Raichu. Venusaur is going to Giga Drain on the Rotom switch. Doing a heavy amount of damage to that Rotom Wash. Getting all of its health back, too. Rotom's going to be forced to go to its Citrus Berry here. Corviknight's going for the Brave Bird on Venusaur. That's going to hurt. Doing over 50%. Venusaur cannot live another one of those without relying on Giga Drain. Thank God for that Reflect, because Venusaur would have been dead otherwise. Frosty's going to withdraw Rotom yet again, going into T-Tar to get that Sand active. Going into Excadrill as well, so we can capitalize on this right from the get-go. Daniel is going to Mega Evolve Raichu here, going into Mega Raichu Y. Going for that Zap Cannon. He did it on the wrong slot, though. That's not going to do anything to Excadrill. Venusaur's going for that Giga Drain, though, getting a large amount of health back. Both sides taking some Sandstorm Chip here. This is a very interesting position because Excadrill does outspeed with Sand Rush active, which means Raichu does not necessarily want to stay in. But unless Daniel brought Altaria, he does not have a good switch in against Excadrill. And even if he did bring Altaria, Excadrill does have Rock Slide. So this is actually a very precarious position. Daniel's going to switch Venusaur out into Altaria. Cloud9 is going to get rid of Sand Rush's effects here. Frosty's going to Mega Evolve T-Tar. We're going to reset up Sand. Excadrill is going to protect. Raichu Y is going for that Focus Blast, though, and that is going to knock T-Tar out of the game. This is what No Guard Focus Blast does to a man. Takes away their loved ones. Rotom Wash is back. This is a very precarious position for Frosty all of a sudden. Sand Rush is not active because of Cloud9. He has to go for Rock Slide in order to get this Altaria out of here. But Reflect is still active for another 4 turns because of that Light Clay. Not to mention, Altaria does have access to Roost and Will-O-Wisp, both of which is going to make this very difficult to take it out. This could already be game. Frosty's going to withdraw Excadrill, opting to go into Corviknight. Raichu's going for that Protect. Rotom revealing Electro Web here, which is very nice speed control. That is going to lower Altaria's speed. He can get a couple of those off on Raichu. He can keep his speed advantage even outside of Sandstorm, so he won't have to rely on Sand Rush for Excadrill. But how many of these are he realistically going to be able to get away with it? Corviknight has been burnt as well, so that's going to lower its effective damage as well. It's able to nullify that burn chip with its leftovers, though, but these Brave Birds are going to be doing very little now, especially with Reflect still up for another 3 turns. We've got 2 turns of Sandstorm left, too. Excadrill could switch in right now and capitalize on Sand Rush one more time if Altaria leaves the field. but it has no reason to do that. Raichu's going for the Zap Cannon on Rotom here to take it out. Excadrill is coming back onto the field, whether it likes it or not. Corviknight's going for Body Press here. It's going to do very little, though. Arya tried to go for Will-O-Wisp on the Rotom, but there is no Rotom. Presumably predicting an Excadrill switch, but Excadrill's in now. Both sides thinking very hard. Raichu's going for that Focus Blast on Excadrill. Gets it out of here. The 1v4 against this Corviknight now. Frosty's going for Roost here. He's going to try to keep this bird alive. Altaria goes for Tailwind. This is now free pressure from Raichu Y. I can just keep spamming Zap Cannon repeatedly. This is not a good position for Frosty at all. Sure enough, that's exactly what we see here. One Zap Cannon almost doing enough to just kill Corviknight outright from the get-go. Is Brave Bird going to be enough to do it? It is. That is going to be game 2 going to Daniel, which means Daniel has won the best of 3. And that is the end of that match. Up next, we have a slight intermission, actually. However, if Grape and Dynamo are ready, they can go now. Otherwise, we can quick pivot over to some replays for some other games, as well as look over some things. But let me quick see here. All right. In the meantime, I can pull up some replays. While I wait. That means where be my replays? Where are my replays? not in for replays section. So I do have one replay that we can check out here. While I wait. Let me quick bring that up. Oh, hang on, looks like Dynamo might be ready to go. No, he will be ready in like an hour-ish, okay? So that means I can pull up a replay here, which is see, do have a replay from Hendon 96 and Ultimate. I can quick go over. Need to quick change that to here. You're on my info before the battle, right? Yes. Yes, I did. I did read, and I quote, I'm Frosty Random. You know who I am. I am not doing a Kevin Durant voice. I don't know how to do that voice. You can't make me. I'm sorry. I don't get paid enough for that.
Ah, it's classic.
Let me quick pull up. All right, that is the wrong thing. That is also the wrong thing. There we go. Quick check something real quick. And I'll be right back. All right. So this is, I believe, Pendon 96 against Ultimate, which is the only replay I actually have a link for. So, if there's any other replays, I need them to be sent to me. So we'll go over this one real quick. You see, Mega Metagross team. Very interesting here. You also see Annihilate, which is interesting because Mon's kind of fallen off a little bit after that Rage Fist nerf. It does still have quite a bit of pressure.
Now, what pool is this?
This is... I go back to the replays real quick. This is Pool 11, Pendant 96 versus Ultimate.
Okay, so let's get into game one of this replay.
What are we doing for the hour after this fam tour? We could do a fam tour. I could pull up the showdown and find a cheeky format.
So Ninetales and Blaziken versus Annihilate and Primarina. And this Annihilate, according to the team sheet, Highland, it is inner focus. It's not Defiant.
Interesting. Very interesting. It does have its advantages, though. Not having to worry about flinching is very powerful, especially in a doubles format. We are going to see a turn 1 Mega Evolution for Blaziken, though. Interview perhaps also. I could do some interviews, depending on who is available for interviewing. I could.
Let me make a call real quick.
By all means, make some calls. They are in fact on mobile. The quality here is not the best, but you know, I work with what I've got. We're going to see Aurora Veil. Blaziken going for Flare Blitz here. Annihilate barely survives that. Yes, that is why the cropping looks like that, is because they are on mobile. You see Vanillux coming in here.
Annihilate switching out for Aerodactyl.
Very interesting indeed. Ninetales goes for Encore here on Primarina. Gonna lock Primarina into that Icy Wind. Ninetales is going to try to cover that Blizzard here as Vanillux goes for the Freeze Dry on Primarina. See Aerodactyl going for that Rock Slide, doing a decent amount of damage even through Aurora Veil. But the better question is, did it flinch? It did.
Ninetales goes for the Blizzard, super effective, and Aerodactyl survives the attack. Now, there is a potential to freeze either the Primarina or the Aerodactyl, and there isn't a Primarina going for Icy Wind and lowering the speed of Ninetales and Vanillux by one stage.
Ninetales going for that Protect here just to sort of scout. What will Vanillux do? He's going to try to go for the Freeze Dry play. He is, but he's targeting Aerodactyl this time. We'll see how it works out. Ninetales does go for that Protect. Aerodactyl goes for Rock Slide yet again. Do we see Vanillux flinch a second time? It does.
Oh, that is a huge...
This ice cream cone does not get to play the video game.
And that was also through the Aurora Veil and the snow. That Vanillux essentially had double defense on both of those Rock Slides, Highland.
That is a very unfortunate series of effects. Primarina's Encore has worn off. Ninetales is going to go for that Blizzard. The last herd of snow, too, before he has to reset. Let's see how he tries to capitalize on it. Gonna try to go for a Blizzard Freeze Dry combo here. As Aerodactyl goes for Rock Slide. Vanillix dodges. He does hit the Ninetales, though. It is barely lives.
The 1% survival. Are you kidding me? And Vanillix gets to go for the freeze dry.
Goes for the Freeze Dry. Doesn't kill Primarina, but does heavy damage. Do we see a freeze? We do not. Citrus Berry does get procced, though. Primarina goes for Life Dew.
Now that's big. Getting Primarina back up to 84% and Aerodactyl almost to 50%. But this Blizzard is going to do enough and pick up the knockout in the Aerodactyl.
This is a series of events. Snow is no longer active. He's going to have to switch out one of these two mons if he wants to bring it back.
I believe there are 2 turns left of the Aurora Veil, but Annihilate comes in.
Very interesting. It is 1 hit away from death, but the question is, does he have the ability to capitalize on it?
And it's also important to note that because Annihilate switched out with champions, we have that change to Rage Fist, Island. This
Rage Fist no longer keeps its buffs. A nerf that, frankly, was a long time coming, but is enough to change how Annihilate works dramatically. See Primarina going for that Icy Wind yet again, lowering that speed on Basket Legion. 1 Aqua Jet is all that it's going to need to get rid of this Annihilate, though. We're going to see Venusaur coming in place of the Ninetales this turn, looks like, as we're thinking hard. Oh, no, it might not be switching. Hang on.
It'll be interesting, depending on what that 4th and final Pokemon is in the back for Ultimate here. Because we did see that the Aerodactyl has been knocked out. This Annihilate is being threatened of knocked out.
Annihilate goes for the Drain Punch. Getting rid of Ninetales here.
So Basket Legion did not go for the Aqua Jet on this turn.
It did not. Primarina's going for the Moonblast here on Basket Legion. Doing a good amount of chip damage here. Basket Legion's down to about half health. Goes for Last Respects, though, on Primarina, and that's going to do enough to knock it out.
That's the power of Last Respects. 150 base power thanks to Ninetales being knocked out. Oh, my apologies. Only 100 base
100 base power, but it's coming off of a Life Orb Basket Legion with adaptability, so that hurts like a truck.
And now we're going to see the 4th and final Pokemon for Jet Set for Ultimate in this game as Blaziken comes back out onto the field, and the 4th and final is Metagross.
Metagross has hit the field.
And now, this Metagross, Highland, it does have Psychic Fangs, which is super effective into this Mega Blaziken, but at the same time, Mega Blaziken is faster than Mega Metagross and does have that Flare Blitz.
Flare Blitz is a very powerful tool, but Metagross is not exactly frail. And depending on the spread here, it could easily live a Flare Blitz from full. The question is, how will this play out?
Well, let's see after Metagross's Metagrossite activates. Mega Metagross, the shiny Mega Metagross as well.
Basket Legion is going to go for that Aqua Jet here to finish off Annihilate.
And the Life Orb recoil takes Basket Legion down to 64 HP.
Metagross goes for the Psychic Fang. Speed Boost is not active yet. Blaziken is not faster just yet.
But the Aurora Veil wears off. Here's that Flare Blitz, though, from this Mega Blaziken into the Mega Metagross.
That
It's
is a
one-hit
dead
knockout.
That is a dead supercomputer thing.
What a game one between Ultimate and Pendant there. And I will also just say this, Highland, because you did bring it up that the Vanillix went for Freeze Dry into the Primarina, which is super effective due to it being a water type and an ice type move.
It is.
Champions actually changed up Freeze Dry. Now Freeze Dry can no longer freeze the target.
Interesting.
Yeah, a little bit of a switch up there on Freeze Dry. It's still super effective in the water types, but it can no longer freeze a Pokemon.
I was not aware that it got rid of the freeze chance.
Yep, in Champions they changed that.
And it could hit both, either fish or chicken always won that. Yeah. Let's see how game 2 plays out. We're going to see Annihilate and an Aerodactyl lead. Meanwhile, Blaziken and Vanillix are back at it, which means Snow is going to be active here.
Vanillix does have its Choice Scarf active. These Blizzards are going to be doing big damage into the Aerodactyl and Annihilate if it goes for that. But we also see on this Vanillix, it has Icy Wind. That'll lower the speed of Aerodactyl and Annihilate, which might actually help out Blaziken.
Especially without any speed boosts currently active. Blaziken wants all the speed control it can get. At least until it can start getting the ball rolling here.
Let's see what our two trainers go for here, as the Blazikenite will activate on the Mega Blaziken for Pendant, giving it that huge 160 base power attack stat, as the Vanillix goes for the Icy Wind, lowering the speed of the Aerodactyl and Annihilate. And the Flare Blitz does enough. The double up knocks out Annihilate here. Meanwhile, Aerodactyl takes the opportunity to set up the Tailwind on Ultimate side of the field as
Sneasler comes out.
So this Sneasler with that White Herb and Unburden, if it goes for a close combat here, you could potentially pick up the knockout into this Vanillix, even through the Snow defensive boost, and get that Unburden to activate on the White Herb.
You could. Vanillix is going to switch out into Basculegion here, presumably predicting a close combat. Did he predict correctly is the question. Aerodactyl's going for that Protect here, as is Blaziken, just in case close combat was used against it. Sneasler opted to go for the close combat against Blaziken, denying the opportunity for that White Herb to proc.
But now the Aerodactyl, it does have access to Protect, but it just went for it. And this Basculegion does have that Aqua Jet, which is priority and super effective. That might pick up the knockout. And suddenly this Mega Blaziken might have a shot at being faster than the Sneasler without the White Herb activating.
And Sneasler doesn't get that Unburden active soon. Any opportunity it has to outspeed this Blaziken is gone. He has to play fast and he has to play right. Sneasler's going for Upper Hand.
And that fails, which allows Blaziken to go for the Rock Slide. Picks up the knockout into Aerodactyl. But because Sneasler went for the Upper Hand, it apparently was trying to go into Basculegion, but as a Ghost type, that would have failed.
National Legion going for that wave crash here. This will be enough to knock out Sneasler.
Speed boost coming again for this Blaziken. It's at +3 as Metagross is the 4th Pokemon for Ultimate in this game number 2.
It is indeed. Metagross is going to Mega Evolve, but it does not live a Flare Blitz, as we have established.
Well, let's see the
Blaziken's
Blaziken
going for Protect here.
And let's see Metagross try to go for the Psychic Fangs into the Blaziken who protects itself. This allows Basculegion to go for the Wave Crash with the Life Orb and adaptability, and Metagross is almost knocked out from that Wave Crash.
That is some serious damage. It's just going to take one hit to finish this thing off. Even an Aqua Jet will be enough to do it.
Wow, what an endgame here for Pendant against Ultimate. That Basculegion nearly knocking out a Metagross, and we're just going to see the
that's game.
Congratulations to Pendant winning that set 2-0 over Ultimate.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not disrespect the chicken. Means now I can proceed to do... Oh, I'm still on the Lugia account.
Still on the Lugia account.
That's a quick tease of a video involving one Frosty Random that you can find on his channel in the near future. Let me quick get some music on.
I can also tell you this. I don't know if you are a fan of like wrestling or whatever, but apparently it's 7:45 and they're about to go into the final 2 matches of SummerSlam for Saturday night.
Jeez.
So I don't understand how they've already gone through that many matches in barely. I don't even know when did it start at 6 or did it start at 7?
Here, what is a funny... What's a funny metagame that I could make a tournament right now?
You know, I've never heard of Godly Gift before. What is that?
I am not sure, to be honest, but I do know that it is not a random format. Hang on. You know what? I know what we can do. /4 create monotype random battle elimination. There we go. I wait for people to potentially join that. what do I do in the meantime? I could see if someone is available for an interview. You know, I know of at least one person who's available for an interview.
Yeah, I'll try to get somebody for an interview. They are currently available at this time with honestly great reasons as to why they are not available right now. And also, I don't need to be punched through a computer screen for taking this person away from them.
All right. So, welcome to the interview. So why don't you walk us through your thought process? How did you feel about X Control after this game?
Hello, everybody. Frosty Random here, and welcome back to the Hylian stream. Had to get out of the way, bro. I will be very real. I came into this game having not opened Pokemon Champions since either Monday or Sunday, and it very much showed. I had a lot of rust. And frankly enough, I wasn't ready for the game. Daniel played better than me. Altair completely wrecked the game plan. And I was trying to focus on a game plan before I had come home today, trying to get something down, and I just came to the conclusion that if Altaria did come, I kind of was just screwed.
I will say I am very surprised that you did not bring a Mega Blaziken team. You are one of the people that have been pioneering and praising Mega Blaziken. I'm very surprised you did not bring it.
Very, very simple question to answer for why I didn't bring it. The best team I could make for it was the team that's already public. And I could not go into this tournament with a team that is completely open and public for everybody to see, EV-wise, move-wise, all that. Any adjustments to that team would be on the margins, and they wouldn't make much of a difference in terms of how the team is like piloted or played against, for that matter.
Very, very fair. Are you feeling confident about your future matches?
Yes, despite the massive O2 loss and the complete and utter domination by Mega Raichu, which I will give more to Altaria as the best support mon against me that could have possibly shown up. I am more confident in going into my other two matches than I was confident going into my matchup today. I will not spoil my future matchups, but I am working on getting somewhat game plans against them right now, having people that I work with review the teams and all that, figure out what I can do into those teams, and having reviewed them myself a couple times, I have ideas into both of them.
Interesting. So, why sand?
Originally I was building off of Mega Electros. And I've built off of Mega Electros a couple different times as regulation. Outside, in terms of mons that were ZA Megas introduced within regulation MB, it is my favorite, and it's by a fair bit. Second place would be Mega Scrafty, who I also did think about bringing. But the idea was I went, okay, I don't want Eel to be the main offensive piece for this team, because if Eel becomes the main offensive piece, then I have to significantly worsen my gameplay into a lot of archetypes like Sun or Rain to an extent because of its speed tier being at 80. So I went, what's a good offensive option that Eel helps break? And I came across T-Tar X Control Sand, and I went, these two really don't like bulky waters. And Eel helps deal with bulky waters better than Rotom can, even though I still have Rotom there for defensive purposes with speed control with Electro Web. Eel can just help break better than Rotom can, or many other electric types that could fit on Sand. And I knew Sand had flexibility when it came to its secondary Mega, because usually you're able to like slap the Mega Stone on T-Tar and you don't have to Mega it every matchup, obviously. There are matchups where Mega T-Tar is the preferred Mega and Drill is not brought. But as we saw in Game 1, Drill probably was the right Mega in that matchup. It just always came down to how it was played the rest of it. And I was very surprised Eel took that Focus Blast as well as it did, because Eel is not, like, Mega Eel isn't fully known for its bulk. Normal Eel with an AV is very good bulk-wise, but Mega Eel gets 10 points in bulkiness to Spadef, and it's not really known for that. Instead, it's known for its really good offensive capabilities and the 30 points in speed that I kind of wish it didn't get, because if it had base 50 speed still, it'd be probably one of the best Trick Room Pokemon in the game. Anyway, sorry to interrupt, but I still got more to talk about when it comes to actually choosing Sand. With Eel being able to break bulky waters better, I knew instead of an offensive grass, I could go Sinistcha to be a Trick Room setter and have Quiet Nature on the Eel. To maximize the special attack abilities while also maximizing bulk, so I don't have to worry about speed tiers. And having both Excadrill and Corviknight makes my matchup into fairies a lot better than it could be. Or a lot better than like some Sand teams, like Houndstone Sand teams. They kind of struggle with it because they're usually just Exca or just Corviknight. But into Floette, I have Excadrill with Iron Head. Floette, I have it's not Skarmory. I have Corviknight, very bulky Corviknight with bulk up. And then having those two resist, and then having T-Tar to pair with them to beat the fire types. Exca being able to get that speed boost inside of Sand with Sand Rush, and having Rock Slide of its own. Eel helping against the Sun matchups if I can get Trick Room up. Rotom being able to help in the Sun matchups if I'm able to keep Sand up, or if I'm able to just get Trick Room up, obviously. Because of the Volt Switch plus Hydro Pump combo, which is pretty good to everything but Venu on those teams. But as we saw from that last matchup, Venu is a bit of an issue mon if Corviknight cannot do what it needs to effectively. But overall, I just came to the conclusion that Sand was the overall best archetype for Mega Electros within this current meta for Regulation MB. The other idea was also a weather, but it was snow, and I was just gonna bring all reliable Mega Frostlass with Mega Scrafty Trick Room mode, which I had made a team based on that. That team would obviously be remade, be made better, and have more time put into it. But I decided to go with Mega Eel because I have defended Mega Eel ever since it came out in ZA. I might as well be one of its only soldiers within this tournament, and one of the only people that's running it this late in Regulation MB as well.
Mega Electros was definitely a surprise. I was not expecting you, let alone anybody, really bring that, because that's not a Mega that you normally see. So it was very nice to see somebody pioneering that. Were there any other Megas you were considering going into this that you were thinking maybe I wanted to bring instead of Mega Electros?
So Mega Eel was the first Pokemon on the team, and I built around Mega Eel. But if I decided to bring a different Mega to build around, the top three other choices were Mega Frostlass, Mega Delphox, and Mega Mawile.
Yes, Mega Delphox. The mon that very infamously Go watch the newest video.
Yes. Outside of that, though, I was thinking about Mega Delphox. Mega Frostlass was my main other option outside of Mega Eel. And if I'd gone with Frostlass, I already had the idea of the dynamic duo of Mega Frostlass and Lycanroc Dusk. The issue is that I think Lycanroc has a bit of an issue when it comes into the double weather matchups between Rain Zard and raw some matchups with Zard and Vino. But mostly with Vino, because you'd want to click Rock Slide into the Zard, chance to flinch. It doesn't. If it's super bulky, you don't get a guaranteed kill. Accelerock does get that because of no spread damage and the Tough Claws boost. But Vino would always be an issue. Mega Frostlass could help with that. But I've used that duo a fair bit before. I do know how to play well with it. It just came down to wanting to try something a bit more different and a bit less in my comfort zone. And Eel is in my comfort zone, specifically special attacking Mega Eel like I've shown. If you have heard me talk about Mega Eel before, I am very, very critical of the Coil Mega Electros sets. I do not think they're viable, and I do not think they can be viable.
Really? Not even with stuff like Liquidation?
Yes. I think that Supercell Slam is just not a good enough move to justify going physical. The 50% recoil if you hit into a ground type, or if you miss, which if you're running coil you won't miss, but specifically if you hit into a ground type, like an opposing Excadrill, like a Swampert, or anything like that, there's just too much downside to losing 50% of your health off rip, that even a well-played Sinistra of constantly switching can't help against. Because they can easily, like, an Eel also has to take a bit too much time to set up. It's not like Milo where it has the bulk to actually perform that coil set well, while Milo also has Hypnosis and Recover. It doesn't have any healing options. It doesn't have, well, it has Drain Punch, but that's it. It doesn't have any really good status options outside of T-Wave, which you'd rather not bring on a offensive coil. And it's just not, like... And I know for, like, when it comes to Mega Eel, I just think that your special coverage far outweighs the risk of going physical, even with the coil boost. Because, yes, you can be boosting your attack, most likely, even with the coil. Like, you get a coil boost or two, then you start firing off physical attacks. And if it's in the right matchup and all that, which goes for every Pokemon out there, it can win the game by itself while having, like, +5 in its attack stat. I just think it requires too much support, and it gets pressured too much, too often and too quickly in order to actually make it work.
That is definitely fair. There anybody that you're worried about going forward?
I would be worried if I got into a rematch with Daniel, because that Altaria, for lack of a better word, kicked my ass. In terms of other people, other people I'm worried about in terms of specific players, obviously there's people that have more VGC experience than me. Lugia, Lug. If I face against Lug, I think I'm at a disadvantage just based on experience. Diatite and Dynamo both have VGC experience. But in terms of, like, matchups, Atrix, of course, also, I'm very worried about, because just a really good player altogether, top 8 at Indy, just really good altogether. No, all the good in the world to say about Atrix. But in terms of specific Pokemon I'm worried about, because I would be more worried about the match, because I would be more worried about the Pokemon matchup than the player matchup. In terms of the player matchup, yes, I can be worried about specific players because of experience, because of their results, because of their... But all in all, it comes down to worrying about their team before the player themselves. And in terms of Pokemon I'm worried about, number one on my list is Megastar Raptor. I think Megastar Raptor has a really good matchup into most Sand in general. But specifically my version of Sand, because my main answers to a Megastar Raptor are Corviknight and Rotom Wash. Corviknight, of course, gets hit neutrally by close combat, which means it gets a free defense boost every time, which never is good. But in terms of the Rotom's just, also neutral to CC, but between Will-O-Wisp and the Will-O-Wisp and Volt Switch, I'm able to progressively chip it down and get good pivoting out into stuff like Sinistcha on the close combats, into other Pokemon like that as well. Any other Pokemon that I'm super worried about? I am super worried about Altaria. Going forward, I hope no other Altarias exist in the pool. Or exist in the entire... Please, don't bring Mega Alt... Please, no Mega Altaria.
You heard it here first, folks. He is terrified of cotton balls and clouds. Please do not...
I am not worried about Whimsicott.
He is terrified of clouds. Please do not send Altarias or cast forms at him. He will explode.
Actually, if you send cast forms at me, I will... We will force a sand form. But...
Finally. It only
Finally.
It only took over 20 years.
Yes. Anyway, in terms of Altaria just turning off my sand when I'm a sand team, always going to be an issue. Other weather overriders, such as Pelipper in particular, I'm not super worried about Zard because of my rock options. But like Pelipper, I'm semi-worried about. I'm semi-worried about Frostlass, even with the Tyranitar. I'm ironically semi-worried about Blaziken, because it just has a really good typing into my team. Fighting fire hits my entire team super effectively outside of Rotom and Eel. Eel isn't bulky enough to live a CC from a good Mega Blaziken, I would know. But in terms of the what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. I think you get the point though.
Yeah.
Like fighting in general is just a super good typing into most of my team. My immunity is Sinistcha, which gets hit by either flying or fire, and I don't have a resist other than that. That is a flaw with Sand in general outside of Houndstone Sand, which I did think about bringing Houndstone plus Excadrill, but I just didn't think Houndstone fit on the team over Sinistcha. If you have any other questions, go right ahead.
How do you feel about this current game with a Blaziken against another chicken?
I'm gonna be real. Haven't been watching the game.
What have you been watching then?
I've been closing my eyes. I do this thing where if I get to talking a lot, I close my eyes to help have a better thought process of what I'm trying to say. Because ADHD, I will get distracted if I open my eyes and look at something. That's just how it goes. Can you not click Blitz? Nubish, you will be getting blitzed here. no matter what.
But now the real question here, and this will most likely be for Highland, does he want to make the crowd, or does he want to set the crowd ablaze with fear right now with this Blaziken?
I mean, that is kind of the idea.
Yes. So much like the chicken, let's howl at the other chicken.
Folks,
I am a
you
kung
could
fu
get
fighting
this-
chicken. Hear my battle cry.
Folks, you can see.
Little.
Folks, you can see this chicken do even more over at youtube.com/frosty_random. In my latest Pokemon Champions video using Adamant Mega Blaziken with Joey Pokeaim MD and Hylian.
Support the brand.
Support me and Hylian. Support Talon Master J as well. Very good when it comes to hosting tournaments over in his Discord and on Limitless. I have been in one before. Not prepare well for that tournament. I also used Mega Eel in that tournament.
I believe I featured you once before.
I don't think you did. At least not to my knowledge.
It was maybe. I don't remember on that side of things. But at the same time, what matters is, yes, I do host my own tournaments every Thursday night. It is a lot of fun, and we're coming up on 100 hosted tournaments.
Big number there. What is this Roto move say? Oh, sorry, I didn't even notice that it is not a Rotom.
I'm Monogigas.
Monogigas.
Ah!
My favorite ghost type move, Will-O-Wisp. Anyway, any more questions for the interview? I'll be happily glad to answer.
How do you feel about the price of tea in China?
What?
How do you feel? Like, you asked for you said any questions. How do you feel about the price of tea in China?
Hold on, how much is it? Why is this? What the hell?
I know, right?
Okay. Interesting. Next question.
All right. Would you rather have unlimited bacon but no games?
Oh, we're doing this.
Or unlimited games, all games, but no games?
Always a great question to ask someone when you don't know what else to ask them. J Schlack question of doom and despair. You see, I don't eat bacon. So
okay,
unlimited games,
do we have a Ted Mosby on our hands here, Highland?
Well, no, see, here, this is an interesting dilemma, because I'm Jewish and I do eat bacon. So...
I'm not religious and I don't.
I'm not religious and I love bacon. I mean, I am religious, but I just don't go to church.
Listen, I might be Jewish, but that's not going to stop me from clogging my arteries. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Oh my goodness. Either way. I think I had to go with unlimited games, but no games.
Very, very interesting answer. Much like this Blissey trying to contemplate life.
I think Blissey tends to do that often.
I mean, here's a good question that I have random. What is your favorite Oricorio form?
Random? Oh. uh, Random is crazy. Firstly, just call me Frosty. Secondly, I had to go with the consistent trivia question of who is the most banned Pokemon of all time within a single generation. That being every Oricorio form if you combine them, but if you go individual forms, Oricorio Pom Pom.
The Pom Pom one was always banned?
Pom Pom has been banned from several different tiers. I think a combined total of like 12 times this gen. And right now, Oricorio Pom Pom is, I believe, RUBL.
What are your thoughts on the Genesect situation?
The Genesect situation is crazy.
You know, like how they keep trying to bring it back every single time, and they then immediately remember why they banned it in the first place.
I mean, that'll always happen either way. Genesect is a Pokemon that exists on that borderline between really good OU force and literally just being too good. Of course, with it being consistently banned and therefore not brought back within many metas, it is on that just too good for OU pipeline. Bug Steel is a really good typing for it, with the ability to get like stab U-turns and all that. It can go both physical and special. It has a ton of coverage. Technoblast, which is a rarely used move on it, is a more interesting option if you want to, waste your item slot on the drive. Which there's like really only one viable one because it gets coverage moves for all those typings anyway.
All right, well, it looks like Grape is here, which means match should start relatively soon. Have to wait for...
I mean, the last question that I have for Frosty, just because you mentioned a Highland about a bug and steel type, if you had to give an ability to Mega Golisopod in MC, assuming it is legal in MC, what ability would you give it, and do you think it would be broken?
I know what my response to this question is, but...
Every time I'm asked this question, I will consistently say the joke answer, but I'll say the joke and then the serious answer. I mentioned this to Hyun before. I can't.
If you say tactical retreat, I will murder you.
Yes,
I will get you from this call right now.
The joke answer is that, but the real answer, what I actually think it could get, I think it could get Water Bubble.
That is what I really hope it gets, to be honest.
Now, for somebody who, again, we saw Wimped Out, we saw Emergency Exit. What is Tactical Retreat?
Tactical Retreat is this really unique ability for Mega Golisopod that once it hits 50% HP, it will eject out of the battle as a Tactical Retreat. It will not heal or anything. It's not Regenerator, but once it goes below half, it gets itself back into its Pokeball, and you get to choose the Pokemon that comes out next.
Let the man stay in.
Every
I'm tired of this Golisopod slander.
But yes, in terms of the serious ability, I do hope it gets Water Bubble. I would like it to keep stab on its water moves like Liquidation, and for it to be only two times weak to fire while being unable to be burnt would be an amazing synergy for Mega Golisopod.
Not just that, it wouldn't even just keep Water Stab. It would be better than Water Stab because it would effectively have adaptability on its water moves. Because of how Water Bubble works, where it doubles your attacking stat when you use a Water type move.
That is true, yes.
It doesn't just keep,
how it works.
It effectively just has stronger Water type Steelworker in that case. It just has adaptability on water moves. Plus, yeah, the reduced damage from fire types. Don't get me wrong, you will still die to a flamethrower. But
Considering its stat spread, I doubt it. That mon is pretty good on the defensive end.
well, it turns what would have been an Oko into a 2-ko. But
yes, you're still getting 2 code, but there's also no chance for you to get burnt afterwards, which is always amazing for a Pokemon like that.
No, if any physical attacker that just can't be burnt is always incredible.
Yes,
Like,
Araquanid sees viability within high tiers because of this ability.
now, see, the balanced answer I would give is Water Bubble. And yes, I say that that's balanced because it genuinely is not as broken as people think. Like, no, well, for this specific situation, because...
I'm assuming your overpowered answer would be someone like Regenerator?
Yes, the overpowered answer is Regenerator. Like, just flip it on its head. But in reality, Water Bubble is not nearly as broken as people think it would be for this mon. Yes, it's incredibly powerful on this mon. It gets to keep its water type stab and actually do more damage than it would be just in base form with those water type moves. And yes, having your damage from fire type moves is amazing for a bug steel type, as well as not being burnt. However, ultimately, it does still have the problem of it will still die to most fire type moves in 1 to 2 hits. And this thing is not, yes, it's bulky, but it's not fast. It has to rely on priority in order to get those kills. And that can only carry it so much. So it is sort of a double-edged sword. Regenerator, on the other hand, would just be funny. Of just, oh, you thought you could weaken me. No. Yes, I am the same person who wants Earth Eater on Mega Heatran. It would be fucking hilarious.
I will say.
Okay. In all fairness, I have speculated about Earth Eater on Mega Heatran as well, and yes, it would be stupidly busted.
Listen, would it be broken and have to be banned immediately? Yes. Would it be absolutely hilarious? Without question. Like,
keep in mind, I'm just doing some quick calculations.
I am here for a fun time, not a long time.
I'm doing some quick calculations in terms of Mega Golisopod stat spread. Base 150 attack, 175 physical defense, and 120 special defense with 75 HP, which isn't great, but pretty good combined with those defenses. They're against a max special attack Mega Charizard Y using single target Heat Wave. Because I'm calcing in singles. If I calc in doubles for this exact same thing, let me calc in doubles because Water Bubble would be used more within the VGC context. Heat Wave from Max Special Attack Modest Mega Charizard Y is doing 81.3 to 96% against a Max HP, Max Special Defense, Careful Nature Mega Golisopod.
Jeez.
Meanwhile, you're using Liquidation with no attack investment, and you are doing 71 to 84 back to it. This is no bulk Mega Charizard, though.
All right,
Having Water Bubble lets you do amazingly better into stuff like a Sun matchups, because what's Venusaur gonna do? What's Venusaur gonna do to hit you? I mean, Earth Power is neutral. That's fine. Is it gonna carry Weather Ball now?
Oh, maybe. But it looks like we're almost ready for our next match. So, Frosty, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much for this interview. Next mon is Mega Mawile, right? Right. Do it. I don't care. All right.
Oh, dude, I have like several different Mega Mawile teams. I just don't think. It's
all right, you heard it here first, folks. Next fight, he's bringing a Trap Inch. All right. So.
Oh boy.
All right.
Trap Inch.
Thank you all for allowing me on here. Good luck to Grape and
Dynamo
on their match. And I hope to see those two have a good match, and then the last match of the night also be a good match as well.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Frosty. Now, how do I... And I gotta... Freaking... How do I... No. No, that's not what I want to do. I want to do this. Okay, there you go. All right. Then I gotta... Close that. I'm gonna switch back over to...
This. I mean, I have to admit with you and Frosty, I mean, Water Bubble on Mega Golisopod would be just crazy. I saw rumors that it might get sharpness, but it doesn't really get many slicing moves.
It really doesn't. All right, so we are ready to go with the second to last match of the night. You can tell that I start getting you can tell when I'm starting to get tired when I start slurring my words.
Well, you gotta remember, Highland. The only way out is through the perfume department.
Let's do it.
Oh. Ah.
I always hate going in there.
No.
Oh, I am now being returned to the title screen because the date has changed.
Oh, yes, it is. Yep, that was to be expected.
All right, let's try this again. There we go. We've got Grape against Dynamo. I'm being told the Grape's team is not tested. Oh, right. Hang on. Let me do that and that. There we go.
Thank you.
So, what can I say about Grape? Grape is a fantastic person. Has played quite a few regionals. He played in the Milwaukee regional. I do not know whether or not he played in the Indiana regionals, but he's a very chill, funny guy. Very good at other metagames as well. Dynamo has attended regionals starting in 2023, has gone 5-4, 4-4, 4-4, and 4-4. Has also participated in both editions of the Grand Champions Festival and has went 5-4 and 5-3 respectively. And has been competitively battling since 2010. God, hard to believe that was 16 years ago. Yes, I just realized that out loud and am now questioning how long I have been alive on the internet.
Way to make me feel old. And I got 2 months left of my 20s.
Hi, I'm only a year younger than you. You don't get to play this card. Anyway, looks like we've got a Torkoal Mega Kangaskhan team coming from Grape versus...
It's not Mega Kangaskhan. There's only one Mega on pickups team, and that's the Mawile. But this is that aforementioned Vileplume team that I brought up earlier with the Torkoal and the After You tech on Vileplume. But it also has the wide lens to make sure those sleep powders have a higher chance of hitting the opposing Pokemon.
Interesting. Meanwhile, it looks like Dynamo's running a Mega Beedrill Rain team. Which...
Yes, if this team looks familiar, Highland, that is because this is the team that Victor Medina, Torvi, ran, I believe it was during the Grand Champions, or no, it was the St. Jude tournament, and he piloted this to a top 32 finish.
I would do it. So presumably this team has two modes of Mega Pert and Mega Beedrill. But the question is, which one's going to do better against Grape's team? I mean, I would go out on a limb and say Mega Swampert, but you never know. Mega Beedrill with that attack stat and adaptability could do something. The question is, what are the leads?
Well, let's get into it. Game one between Grape and Dynamo. Let's get underway. Dynamo's going to lead Beedrill and Farigarath. And on pickup side, it is that Torkoal and Vileplume. So the Harsh Sunlight has been activated, and suddenly this Vileplume is the fastest Pokemon on the field. And that After You Eruption suddenly looks massive in the face of this Mega Beedrill, potentially.
That will do a lot of damage indeed. The question is, does this team have a Trick Room mode with that Farigarath? And if it does, all of a sudden that Chlorophyll is not as helpful as we think. But it looks like Dynamo is going to be switching out Farigarath and going straight into Pelipper to replace that Sun with Rain. in order to prevent this eruption from just murdering everything in its path. It's going to Mega Evolve Beedrill as well. We're going to see what it chooses to do with that newfound power. Mega Beedrill, as we know, is a huge attack stat plus adaptability. It is not something to be taken lightly.
And Torkoal going for Protect here. Meanwhile, Beedrill going for that adaptability boosted U-turn. Almost picks up the knockout into the Vileplume, but more importantly, gets to switch out here into what, though, is the question.
That is the question indeed. We could see Farigiraf come back out here, and we do. Re-enters the field, getting Armor Tail back in order to deal with priority and prevent that from being used. Vileplume is going to use Sleep Powder, though, and put Pelipper to sleep so it cannot use Hurricane. That is definitely a good play here.
Not only can it not use Hurricane, it also can't go for the Weather Balls into the Torkoal. Meanwhile,
he's going to put Farigiraf to sleep, too. Remember, there is no Sleep Clause in VGC. This is the Cutthroat meta.
However, though, this is important to note. Dynamo's Pokemon, the Pelipper and the Farigiraf, they just took their one guaranteed turn of sleep. There is a 33% chance that they will wake up on this turn.
That is true. We are going to see Grape switch Torkoal out into Basculegion, getting that Swift Swim boost, except not, it's going to be adaptability. But we're going to get that Leaf Storm, and that's going to huge heavy damage to that Pelipper. Pelipper's almost dead from that. Farigiraf is going to wake up, go for the Psychic on Vileplume, and take it out, though. Very, very good wake up.
That is a great one-turn wake-up from Farigiraf. And now, this is where it's a very interesting turn of events. Now you bring that Torkoal in. You are actually hurting Basculegion on your own side of your pickup because you just reset the Rain to the Sun. This Basculegion on pickup side, it was the Focus Sash variant with Liquidation and Adaptability and the Rain. It would have had a chance to do massive damage into this Farigiraf if it landed.
It would have, but now he has been robbed of that opportunity by his own Fire Turtle. Question is, does Pelipper wake up this turn? Because if it doesn't, it is as good as dead. Might not even necessarily need to wake up. It could die to a well-placed Aqua Jet, although with Sun up, it could live barely. Pelipper is going to wake up, though, and go for Wide Guard.
And that's a big move.
Predicting that eruption from Torkoal.
But Basculegion goes for Last Respects. This will knock out the Pelipper and guarantee that for the interim, Pickup has won the Weather War, but Farigiraf goes for Psychic into Basculegion, breaking that Focus Sash, and Torkoal just goes for the
goes for the Weather Ball. This is going to hurt. That did 75% to that Giraffe. It's going to force that Citrus Bear to go off. He is at half health. Another Weather Ball is all it's going to take for this Farigiraf to no longer be on the field.
But now you have a position to, or a choice to make if you're Dynamo, and it's going to be Incineroar coming out here, getting that Intimidate off into this Basculegion and lowering its attack power even further, even though it has super effective Liquidation and Aqua Jet into this Incineroar. You can't go for Aqua Jet because of the priority, and Liquidation is also being negated by the harsh sunlight that you've set up.
See Grape bring out his own Farigiraf as the Incineroar reveals Pasho Berry against this Basculegion, taking very little damage, if any. Incineroar's going to respond with its own Throat Chop, knocking out Grape's Basculegion. He has no choice but to bring back in Torkoal.
And Farigiraf goes for the Psychic into the opposing Farigiraf. That does not very effective damage, but with the Torkoal being the only Pokemon left on the field, you have to wonder if there's going to be a Trick Room mode coming up now with 3 turns left of Harsh Sunlight.
There might have to be. Grape has lost his opportunity to reset Sun. He has 3 turns to work with and 3 turns only. Meanwhile, Dynamo still has 3 Mons. He still has that Beedrill in the back, although Torkoal is a problem. And unless that Beedrill is packing Drill Run, it doesn't really have any way to deal with it.
You are correct. It doesn't have any way to deal with that Torkoal without having Drill Run. But at the same time, we saw how much damage Weather Ball did to this Farigiraf in the sun. this Farigiraf on Dynamo's side, it has Rain Dance as well.
Farigiraf's going for Helping Hand to boost Incineroar's damage output here, as Incineroar goes for Throat Chop on the Farigiraf, knocking it out. This is now a 1v3, the crit too. This is now a 1v3 between Torkoal, a Beedrill, a Giraffe, and a very angry cat. Scratch that, just the Beedrill and a very angry cat.
And that is a big knockout into the Farigiraf, but now we'll never know what pickups Farigiraf was going for. If it was trying to go for a Trick Room there and it survived the Helping Hand Throat Chop, that might have been the game for pickup, but instead, now you have to deal with this Mega Beedrill and Incineroar. And Mega Beedrill, with that adaptability, I wonder what will be doing more damage, a super effective Drill Run or an adaptability Poison Jab?
That is a very good question, and frankly, I feel like the Poison Jab might actually do more in this situation, but if he tag teams with Incineroar properly, I feel like either one is enough to take this game.
I definitely think you have a good point there, Highland, but we're gonna see Drill.
It's gonna miss! Incin goes for the Throat Chop here. Torkoal is alive, goes for the Eruption. That is going to be enough to kill both. Well, no, Incin lives. Beedrill is as good as dead, though. This Mon is frail as molasses.
What?
That is not at all a surprise. It is now Incin against Torkoal. Incin does not have the damage output to kill this Torkoal. This is Grape's game.
What a huge comeback there. It looked like the Torkoal was in prime position to be knocked out by the Drill Run and the Throat Chop from the Incineroar, but instead, the Torkoal dodges that Drill Run and knocks out the Incineroar and Beedrill. A huge momentum swing for the victory.
Ladies and gentlemen, never underestimate the tortoise. If there is one thing that this week has told us, it is do not underestimate the tortoise.
Do not underestimate that tortoise at all.
Let's go into game 2. We're going to see if either team chooses to bring anything different this time around. We'll be curious. Grape did win that first game, but he only won it by a very slight margin. He might choose to change some stuff up here. Meanwhile, it will be curious to see if Dynamo tries to hard commit to Rain this time. He could opt to bring in Swampert instead of Beedrill. Archaludon is also a very viable option here. It does very well against Grape's team.
Well, let's get into game 2 between our two trainers. Will Grape be able to win this set 2-0? Will Dynamo be able to force a game 3? Dynamo is going to lead once again with that Beedrill and Farigiraf. And on Grape's side, it's Bascu Legion and Vileplume. A little bit of a switch up.
A little bit of a switch up indeed. Grape could just flip turn with Bascu Legion right now if he wanted to. Question is, will he? Dynamo is going to Mega Evolve his Beedrill right out of the gate and presumably U-turn on Vileplume. But let's see if that's actually what he goes for. It is indeed. He does U-turn straight into that Vileplume. Vileplume does live, but barely. Dynamo is going to switch. The question is, into what? Goes into Archaludon.
That's a big switch up on on Dynamo's side. And the resisted liquidation to give the Archaludon a stamina boost.
Nicely done. Vileplume's going for Sleep Powder here, getting Farigiraf asleep yet again. Archaludon is going to start regenerating its HP with those leftovers, which is good. This thing is going to be difficult for Grape to take out. Archaludon is very bulky, and with stamina active, physical moves are not the way to go around beating it.
Meanwhile, Bascu Legion goes for that liquidation into the Farigiraf, bringing it down to 56%, and Vileplume gets to hit a second Sleep Powder. The wide lens coming in clutch for this Vileplume. Archaludon takes its one guaranteed turn of sleep, and
Farigiraf wakes up, goes for the Psychic,
and breaks the Focus Sash into Bascu Legion. A big turn there, breaking that sash.
Very nice chip. Archaludon is almost back up to full with all of its leftover recoveries, but it is asleep. If we don't get that turn 1 wake up, there's not going to be able to do much here. Basculegion is going to go for the liquidation against Farigiraf. Farigiraf lives, but barely. It's brought down to its Citrus Berry.
Bringing it back up to 37%. Vileplume, though, goes for the Sludge Bomb, and that's enough to pick up the knockout into the Farigiraf with the double up.
Archaludon wakes up, goes for the Flash Cannon. That is a dead Vileplume.
The leftovers recovery on this Archaludon brings it just under full HP. But now Basculegion, because Farigiraf was knocked out there, Highland, now the last respects are on par. As Beedrill comes out in the face of a Farigiraf with the bug type being super effective into a psychic type and that adaptability.
This is a very good position for Mega Beedrill to be in. Farigiraf's going for a Helping Hand to support Basculegion. How much will a Helping Hand Aqua Jet do? The answer is enough to kill a bee. Remember, this thing has a base
knockout.
Remember, this thing has a base defense stat of 10. Archaludon's going for that Electro Shot, though.
That's a big Electro Shot right there, because now it is guaranteed to hit a target as long as it targeted correctly and back out to full HP with those stamina boosts already up. And
Pelipper is on the field, which means that any future Electro Shots are going to come out instantly.
You are right, but also important to note, the Farigiraf on pickup side, it does have access to Thunderbolt.
That is true, and 1 T-Bolt is all it needs to bring this Pelican down. Basculegion is going for last respects against Pelipper. Pelipper lives. Archaludon's going for Electro Shot. Who did he target? He targeted Basculegion. That is a dead fish.
1 hit knockout into the Basculegion with a critical hit and the guaranteed special attack raise. And now let's see where Farigiraf targeted. But first we're going to see Pelipper go for Weather Ball. And Farigiraf under 80% with that Life Orb.
Farigiraf is barely alive. Citrus Berry bringing it back to 41. Goes for Trick Room.
That's a big Trick Room right there, depending on the 4th and final Pokemon.
He brought Mawile.
Oh, this is going to be big here. As now, the Mawile does have the potential to go for a Mega Evolution and huge power play roughs into this Archaludon.
And that is correct. Remember, Mawile does not have a lot of speed. It is very good in Trick Room, and it will go first before anything else here. However, it's going to have a hard time with this Archaludon.
Let's see.
Remember, this Archaludon is currently at +2 defense, almost completely nullifying the effects of huge power. Play Rough is doing a significant amount to Archaludon, though, but it's going to do less and less each time.
And Farigiraf goes for the Thunderbolt, which will knock out the Pelipper. Extremely effective. It's Archaludon against the world, but it does have those stamina boosts up. And now with the raid, these Electro Shots are guaranteed.
That's true. This Archaludon is putting up a fight. It's continuously getting those special attack increases every time it uses Electro Shot. And it is gaining more defense each time. It's almost knocked out Mawile from full because of how many boosts it's gotten. This game is not over yet.
And Archaludon is up to 65%, but it has those stamina boosts. Now you have to wonder if Farigiraf and Mawile in tandem can knock out this Archaludon. Here's the Helping Hand on this Mawile to boost the power of
We're about to find out. It comes down to this. It doesn't do enough. Archaludon is still alive. It goes for Electro Shot again. Something is leaving the field. The question is it the Farigiraf or is it the Mawile? And Farigiraf is down. It is now Mega Mawile against Archaludon. And with how many defense boosts this thing has, Play Rough might not be able to kill it from this range.
It'll be very close as Archaludon presumably is going to go for a Protect on this turn. Just get another tick of leftovers recovery. Bring it up above 25% of its max HP. It really will just come down to if it gets a double protect and stalls out the Trick Room here.
If he can get the double, did not go for it. Play Rough is going.
It does enough.
To take this.
Congratulations to Grape.
Grape is going to take the set.
Even with those stamina boosts, it wasn't enough, Highland. It wasn't enough.
It was not enough indeed. Which means it's time for the final set of this week, at least for our live matches. That being Resh against Rhodey. A battle of meme lords. That is what we are about to witness.
A battle against meme lords.
On one hand, we have Resh, a man who has memed so hard that he has been repeatedly banned from memeing, only to then meme again. And on the other hand, we have Brody, who can best be described as Mr. Dedalele Whoop himself, or if I'm going off of what he has written in this spreadsheet, under let us know anything else you think might be interesting, he's written hashtag free Cricketoon and hashtag stop oppressing the Delelele Whoop. The question is, which meme lord will meme harder? That is the ultimate question we are about to witness.
Apparently, he forgot Encore was a move when he submitted his team. However, it is important to note, Highland, there are a couple of Whimsicots, especially on the builds with Mega Staraptor, that do utilize the power of Light Screen to give Staraptor extra boosts to his special defense side after a contrary close combat.
That is correct, and frankly, I'm glad he forgot because, fuck Whimsicott. All my homies hate Whimsicott. But I don't have trauma from Gen 6. You can't prove anything. Regardless, we've not seen a Mega Staraptor team yet. It will be interesting to see how this performs. I do enjoy a good contrary sweeper. Both sides getting ready to fight. We got a Great Ball versus Ultra Ball. Which ball will be better today? The Ultra Ball does have a higher catch rate, but will it truly shine? Or are you better off saving your Poké Dollars?
And looking at the team sheets again, so we did just talk about Brody's team with that Light Screen Whimsicott, which actually plays also well with that Grimstar, having fake tears to really boost Staraptor after a close combat, or just a standard contrary boost. I'm looking over at Resh's team sheet now. There's a Life Orb Hydreigon, a Mega Metagross, Mega Venusaur, and I don't think I've seen an Overheat Talonflame in years.
I haven't seen a Talonflame in VGC since the first regulation of Champions.
I've seen a couple of Talonflames pop up here and there in MB. It doesn't have the greatest matchups right now, but having Quick Guard could play really well against Cricketoon's team, especially with the fact that Grimmsnarl does have Parting Shot and Fake Out. That'll be blocked by the quick guard.
It will be very interesting to see how this plays out, because on paper, Brody's team definitely has the advantage here. But there are quite a few things that Resh has at his disposal to even the odds. Especially that Metagross. It should not be underestimated.
Well, let's get into game number 1 between Resh and Kricketune. Kricketune is going to lead Whimsicott and Archaludon. And on Resh's side, it's Primarina and Metagross.
With Whimsicott active, Brody could go for this turn 1 light screen if he chooses to, which would certainly minimize the pressure that this Primarina is able to provide. Alternatively, he could opt to switch out into literally anything else so I don't have to continue to stare at it. But I am just the commentator.
But it's also important to note that this Whimsicott, again, we didn't mention the light screen on its moveset. This Metagross does have Psychic Fangs. That will break the light screen if Whimsicott goes for it, thus allowing Primarina to go for those Moonblasts with big damage.
This is true. Resh is going to Mega Evolve Metagross straight away.
Let's see what happens here.
Whimsicott goes for the Moonblast, going for some free pressure on this Primarina. Does about 40% to it too. Metagross goes for the Iron Head, gets this Whimsicott out of here.
And that's the one-hit knockout, showcasing that the Fairy Feather on the Whimsicott, not enough. Meanwhile, Archaludon goes for Flash Cannon into this Primarina, bringing it down to 23%, and the Moonblast once again into Archaludon, bringing it under 50%, but gets that stamina boost and a Leftovers.
Does indeed. Leftovers brings Archaludon to just shy of 50% health, but all it needs is to get doubled by Metagross and Primarina to just be taken out of this game. Resh is in a very advantageous position right now, unless Brody can somehow get things set up here. But with Metagross having Psychic Fangs, any sort of screen setup is gone. Hospitality is going to bring Archaludon back up to a high enough threshold to where it should be able to live another Moonblast plus a move from Metagross. But
you would be right there, but it's also important to note that this Sinistcha on Kricketune side, it doesn't have Trick Room as an option. This is a Matcha Gotcha Shadow Ball variant.
This is going to be interesting, because Matcha Gotcha is enough to take out Primarina from this age, and Shadow Ball does do significant pressure to Metagross, but Metagross does have access to moves like Knockoff, which Sinistcha does not like. We also have this Talonflame on the field now. Metagross is going for Protect here. Archaludon is going for Flash Cannon on the Talonflame. Not going to do a whole lot. But it does get the special defense drop, and that might actually matter.
It might matter, but we also have to remember that now that Gale Wings has been broken, Talonflame couldn't go for the Gale Wings Tailwind. It can still go for Tailwind, being the fastest Pokemon on the field, but right now that Overheat is looking really nice into Archaludon.
Running Gale Wings over Flame Body was certainly a choice. And frankly, it's not one I would have made, but hey, it works. Question is Resh going to go for that Tailwind right now? He very well could get away with it. Alternatively, he might opt to run something like Will-O-Wisp here. Try to predict an incoming Staraptor. Sinistra's going to Rage Powder and take that Overheat.
With the Charcoal, and Sinistra survives it on 1%!
That wasn't even a Focus Sash. This is Citrus Berry Sinistra. That was just a natural live. Metagross's Ice Punch is going to knock it out, but oh my god, that was a resilient Teacup.
What a huge survival, and that allows Archaludon to go for the Dragon Pulse, and with that special defense drop, Talonflame is knocked out.
I'm just watching a complete and utter carnage right now. That's what this comes down to. Is Primarina going to come back in, or is... No! Resh reveals Hydreigon in the back.
And
Brody's going to bring out Staraptor.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting for Resh. We do see the Staraptors come out. Right now, Hydreigon is the faster Pokemon of the ones that are currently levitating off the field. But when Staraptor Mega Evolves, it'll be faster than this High Dragon, and close combat is super effective.
That's true, not to mention that once it Mega Evolves, Staraptor gets Contrary, which means every time it uses close combat, it is going to get bulkier.
That's correct. And now it remains to be, it just comes down to where the Staraptor wants to target. Do you call a Protect into this High Dragon and go for the close combat into the Metagross, knowing that you're probably going to be taking a Tough Claw Psychic Fangs in return?
That's true, and remember, Staraptor becomes a fighting type when it Mega Evolves, so that Psychic Fangs is going to hurt a lot.
See, here's that Mega Staraptor coming out, and there it is with its beautiful, luscious mane.
It is. Staraptor's going for that close combat on the Primarina. It's going to knock it out. It gains that special defense and defense boost because of Contrary. The question is that enough to live a Psychic Fangs from a -1 attack Metagross? And the answer is yes.
That is a big survival there from the Metagross. Meanwhile, Archaludon gets to go for Aura Sphere into the Metagross, bringing it down to 72%. But another tick of the leftovers recovery, and the Staraptor is at +1. But now the real question is, do you go for a Roost here if you're the Staraptor?
I certainly would if I was in Brody's shoes, but ultimately I'm not the one playing. This Hydreigon also has quite a bit of pressure that it can be putting on here. Brody is not out of the woods yet. This is a very precarious position.
Both our trainers with their last two Pokemon. Staraptor is going to protect itself. Hold on a minute here.
Resh opting to project Hydreigon.
Oh, that's a big call right there, as the Psychic Fangs is going to go into the Staraptor, who protects itself, and the Dragon Pulse goes into the Hydreigon, who protects itself.
Very interesting plays. Archaludon slowly getting back up. It's almost back to max health, and it will be if nobody targets it this turn.
Already has that one stamina boost, so this Mega Metagross at -1 on its physical attack will not be doing as much damage as it normally would to this Archaludon.
This Archaludon is effectively already a +2 defense against this Metagross. However, there is still a Hydreigon here that, if it's specially invested, which it is, can put a significant amount of pressure on this Archaludon still. Psychic Fangs is going to knock out Staraptor.
That's a big knockout for Metagross. This allows Hydreigon to go for the Life Orb Draco Meteor into Archaludon. Does it
Is
do
it enough? It
does.
is! Resh takes game 1.
What a comeback there for Resh. The Life Orb on the Hydreigon knocking out Archaludon. The Metagross being faster than the Staraptor.
Who said that this dragon needs choice specs? Show them that replay. It does not. That was a speed tie, if I have ever seen one.
Oh my goodness. What an end for game 1 there. And we still have more matches in this set.
That's true. That was only game 1. Brody can bring this back in game 2. But will he bring anything different? There are still a couple Pokemon we have not seen from either side. We have not seen Lycanroc or Venusaur from Resh, and we have not seen Kingambit or Grimmsnarl from Brody.
You are right. We haven't seen Kingambit or Grimmsnarl. And Grimmsnarl now might actually have a shot at coming with the Staraptor. Get those parting shots off early and start powering up Staraptor if you are Brody in this matchup.
It is. However, he might not opt to fully commit to it. We'll see what happens here. Starting game 2. We are going to see Kingambit and Whimsicott coming out from Brody's side this time. And we're going to see Resh leading with the same Primarina and Metagross strat he did in game 1.
Now, this is a big switch up for Resh in game number 2, having that Metagross and Primarina once again. But on Brody's side, you put that Kingambit out, and suddenly the Metagross is being threatened by a super effective Kowtow Cleave or Sucker Punch.
That's true. This is not a good position for Metagross. Resh does not have the ability to go full offensive immediately out the gate like he could in game 1. He's going to have to think very carefully here. He is opting to Mega Evolve Metagross straight away. The question is, what has he chosen to do? Whimsicott's going to set up that priority Tailwind because of Prankster.
Let's see. Does the King Gambit get to go first? It does. It goes for
Goes for Ironhead, doing heavy damage for Primarina.
And Ironhead in return to the Metagross, knocking out the Whimsicott in one hit. But does this Primarina flinch? That is the big question.
It does not.
Target Hyper Voice over 60% into the King Gambit.
That is a heavy amount of damage. So much so King Gambit cannot live another one of those, even if it becomes a multi-target move. Staraptor does enter the field, though, intimidating Metagross. And he's got a Tailwind behind it as well, so if he chooses to Mega Evolve, there will be no room for a speed tie currently.
You are right, there won't be a speed tie currently. But let's see what happens if the Staraptor tries to go for the Mega Evolution now and get that close combat boost off into the Metagross, because we know that King Gambit has that Sucker Punch, which is super effective into the Metagross.
Staraptor's going to Mega Evolve now. Is he going to go for CC or is he going to go for something different? Let's find out. Metagross is going to protect here.
Good protect from Metagross. Does the King Gambit? No,
goes for Brave Bird. That is going to knock out Primarina.
Big knockout on the Primarina, but this allows King Gambit, after the Staraptor takes recoil damage, there was the Kowtow Cleave, which would have been super effective into the Mega Metagross. Let's see what the third Pokemon is. It's the Talonflame again. Bird versus Bird.
It is indeed. Now, this does not have the luxury of being able to rely on Flame Body, because as we have established, this Talonflame is Gale Wings. That being said, it can still burn Staraptor if it plays its cards right.
You are correct, but it's also important to note, you just pulled it out, Highland. That Talonflame is Gale Wings. It's at full HP. Gale Wings is in effect, so Tailwind can suddenly come out, and this Metagross can go for... Oh, it's just going to be Sucker Punch into the Metagross. There was no Tailwind from Talonflame.
No, and there it is. We've spoken too soon.
Wow. The Sucker Punch went before the Talonflame. But
Staraptor goes for the close combat. Metagross is down, gets the defense boosts.
That is a huge knockout of the Mega Metagross. The Staraptor just got a contrary boost.
Hydreigon has entered the field yet again. Is it going to be able to output enough damage to take out Staraptor? Remember, this thing is getting bulkier every time it clicks close combat. And to top that off, Hydreigon is weak to it too.
Meanwhile, Staraptor protects itself because this is the last turn of Tailwind on that side of the field. Hydreigon goes for protect of its own. And
Talonflame attempts to use Will-O-Wisp to burn the Staraptor,
which allows King Gambit to go for Kowtow Cleave in a Talonflame and bring it under 30% of its HP. It's now in Sucker Punch range.
It is indeed, but Tailwind has run out from Brody's side of the field. Meanwhile, Resh still has 2 turns left. This Hydreigon is still faster because of Tailwind. Can it capitalize on it?
It's going to be an impressive setup for this Staraptor, getting that +1, stalling out the Tailwind on their side, but potentially can get that Tailwind back up. Now this Hydreigon has to make a choice on where it wants to attack, and same with the Talonflame. Do you go for the Will-O-Wisp and try to burn the Staraptor or the King Gambit?
Brody's going to withdraw Staraptor and go into Sinistra. Going to give King Gambit a little bit of its health back because of that hospitality.
And Talonflame goes for the Will-O-Wisp into the Sinistra. There was no Sucker Punch play from Kricketune in this game. Does that mean we're going to see an Earth Power?
We do!
That's a huge Earth Power!
King Gambit is down! That is a very nice read from Resh's part. Staraptor is gonna have to come back out here, whether it wants to or not.
And with 1 turn left of Tailwind, this Sinistra and Staraptor can go for Protect, but this Hydreigon still has its special attack at a high enough standing right now. The Sinistcha potentially could be knocked out from this overheat, but do you go for a Tailwind on the next turn, or do you just go for the damage with Hydreigon?
That is the ultimate question here. How greedy does Resh want to be in this moment? I have seen him get incredibly greedy before. Will it blind him? Sinistra's gonna go for Rage Powder. As Hydreigon goes for the overheat, Sinistra dodges it!
That allows this Draco Meteor to go into the Sinistcha slot, the Life Orb, and it still survives!
It does, but it'll die to burn this turn!
Oh my goodness.
Never mind, the Citrus Berry saves it, but barely. Staraptor's gonna go for that close combat on Talonflame. It's gonna knock it out. Get that defense boost.
That overheat miss, so critical for Kricketune there, because it didn't go into the Sinistcha. That allowed the Life Orb Draco Meteor to go into the Sinistcha, not the Staraptor. Hyland, we're going to game 3.
We are going to game 3. This is for all the marbles. Who will win, the incredibly buff bird or the not as buff bird, but that is on fire?
That was an incredible endgame, and what a turn of events. We saw Kricketune lead with that Sinistcha and King Gambit in game number, oh no, the Whimsicott and King Gambit. Get that Tailwind up and just go for raw damage into Resh's team. Whittle down the team left and right, but you got the Tailwind up, allowing your Staraptor to start setting up close combats early and often.
That's what happens. If you get Staraptor in the right circumstances, it's going to be very hard to take out once it starts getting it rolling. Contrary Pokemon are incredibly strong. Do not underestimate them. It'll be very interesting to see if either side chooses to change things up still. We have not seen Venusaur or Lycanroc from Resh's side. Either one of them could come out here.
I mean, there are times when certain Pokemon feel like they're not very effective in bringing to a match, and the Grimmsnarl, you are right, we haven't seen it yet. I wonder if we do see it in game 3 instead of that Whimsicott.
It could. I can very much see this, especially with that fake tears in order to boost Staraptor further. If Staraptor gets enough boosts at the beginning, this fight could very well be over before it even begins.
Well, let's get into it. Game 3 of this match between Resh and Kricketune. And it is the Archaludon and Grimmsnarl as a lead for Kricketune. We are seeing the Archaludon. Meanwhile, it's Metagross and Talonflame.
Very interesting lead switches on mix-ups on both sides. This is the first time we are seeing this Grimmsnarl this set as well. If Brody switches into Staraptor right now and gets that fake tears off on itself, this game is going to become very, very hectic very quickly. Resh is going to bring Talonflame back. He's going to opt to go into Primarina.
Grimmsnarl goes for Reflect to give the Archaludon a little extra boost on the physical side. Meanwhile, the Ironhead, though, no Mega Evolution just yet because of this Grimmsnarl having the parting shot. You will be able to go for a parting shot into Metagross if it Mega Evolves, but because of the clear body, it won't get that parting shot off. And Primarina with Protect, this Grimmsnarl suddenly can't go for it.
That's great. Oh yeah, you're right. Raptor's not Mega Evolved. But Primarina's opting to protect here. Is Metagross going to try to go for Psychic Fangs on Archaludon to get rid of that Reflect? No, he's going to Ironhead and get rid of this Grimmsnarl.
Big knockout on Grimmsnarl here, but now that Psychic Fangs is on tap if there is no King Gambit in the back.
Staraptor coming
Body
in,
not
but
activating.
Metagross is not Mega'd yet, so it doesn't get that -1 attack. And as we all know, Primarina cares about its attack stat as about as much as it does for anything that survives a scream. It'll be interesting to see how Brody chooses to play around this. Not Mega Evolving immediately on Metagross might have been just the mix-up that Resh needed.
I think you're right. With this Staraptor, if it goes for the Mega Evolution, you can go for that close combat into the Mega Metagross, get that special defense boost and physical defense boost. But at the same time, this Moonblast will be doing super effective damage no matter what. There is no light screen up.
Resh is going to Mega Evolve Metagross now that it's gotten away with everything it needed to deal with. Staraptor is also Mega Evolved in response. We're going to see Metagross go straight for that Psychic Fangs on Staraptor, knock it out, and it's going to break that Reflect.
That is a huge one-hit knockout.
Archaludon's going for Aura Sphere here. That's going to do a decent amount of damage to Metagross. But now it's going to survive a Moonblast from Primarina. This is going to hurt. That did over 50%.
Hey, let's see. Archaludon brought up to 50%. And now, thanks to that Psychic Fangs removing the Reflect, Whimsicott is the fourth and final.
This is tricky indeed. Brody does not have the option to set up screens because of Psychic Fangs from this Metagross. There's no point. How will this Whimsicott be able to help out?
Because the Archaludon, it only has special attacking moves. You can't go for something like a Electroshock right now because of the threat of Protect on Primarina and no rain.
Brody's going to try to go for Light Screen anyway, though. Metagross opting to go for Iron Head here, knocking out Whimsicott in a single move. Is Light Screen enough for Archaludon to survive another Moonblast?
Find out. The Moonblast comes out from Primarina. This will do not enough.
Barely enough. However, it does die to the next one. This game is as good as over.
Archaludon is against the wall. A 1v4 situation against the Mega Metagross and the Primarina. Here's the Psychic Fangs.
Psychic Fangs. Archaludon lives.
Are you kidding me? A survival of the Archaludon.
Goes for Flash Cannon. It's not enough to take out Primarina. It is going to perish to this Moonblast.
One final Moonblast. Archaludon is down, and Resh wins this set 2-1. What an end to this week one, Highland.
What a end. What an end indeed.
And again, that's just the start of the Draco Cup between all these incredible trainers.
It is. This was just week one, and we've already seen some incredible games, some incredible matchups. We've got a lot more going into week two, but you guys are going to have to wait until week two for that to happen. So we will see you guys back here on August 8th for week two of the Draco Cup. We've got a whole slew of matches for you guys to look forward to, including matches with such highlighted names as Lug and Atrix himself. So look forward to that. I will see you guys back here next week for week two of the Draco Cup. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Take care of yourselves. Have a great evening. We'll see you here next week. Good night, everybody.